the Sunday edition of America's Day at the Races. We're back in action today at New York City's Racetrack Aqueduct in South Ozone Park. Our program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. The Belmont at the Big A meet continues. Unfortunately, had to cancel due to weather yesterday. We are off the turf today, but glad to see racing action return. We have a Pick 6 carryover coming up and plenty of exciting action to discuss, including a couple of New York bred 2-year-old stakes. I'm your host, Acacia Kamal, pleased to be joined by Sarah El-Badoui. And Sarah, it seems like every time we are on set together, we get the wardrobe memo and we're matching. And we found that typically when we're on the same wavelength, it's a good thing.
Yeah, the other day we picked a couple of horses that we both liked early on. They both did well. When Richie came on, I will say it wasn't quite the same, unfortunately, whatever that may or may not mean.
Richie Migliore, champion jockey, with us as well. We'll hear his thoughts on the opener in a moment. But first, we'll take a look at the field for the first race of this Sunday. It's a mile on the main track and a fun maiden special weight. You have a short price favorite down to the inside in the #1, Revolving Credit, who chased stunningly around the racetrack the whole way last time out. Will try to get her own win today. 3-year-old and up for the fillies and mares, and we'll meet the field starting things off with that short price favorite, Revolving Credit. Good second last out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to beat this horse. I mean, maybe you argued that she moved up a little bit on a track with some moisture in it, but that's exactly what she's going to be getting today. She has early speed. She should win this race.
She was very green first time out and did take a big step forward mentally and physically in her second start. She's 1-2 right now. Here's Vivid Dreams, 3rd place finish last time out.
Yeah, stretching out for the first time for a daughter of Arrogate might appreciate a little bit more ground to work with.
Big price on the #3 Duke Girls, the other Chad Brown.
Sometimes that other Chad Brown is the way to go, but she'd have to get a little bit faster in her 4th start.
Paris Style makes sense. Chase wire-to-wire winner She's Mo Bubbly last out.
Seems like the logical alternative to your favorite, and that was a day last time out where she was against the track a little bit. That was that extreme speed bias day at Saratoga.
And big price, here's the #5 Rhea Valentine.
2nd-time starter, adding blinkers. We'll see what we get from her, but she would have to improve quite a bit out of that same race as Revolving Credit and Paris Style.
Did stumble at the start a bit, but then just no rally after that. Want to remind everybody, you can join Naira Bets and play all of the action on our program and more with a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up with promo code MATCH200. You could earn up to $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Don't forget to join now at nairabets.com for your deposit match. Opener in 3 minutes away. Again, sloppy main track off the turf, but Revolving Credit 2-5 right now. As she and Paris Style will rematch. Paris Style had one race after that, as we touched on in the post parade, where she chased She's Mo Bubbly up against the track. But as far as Revolving Credit, stunningly was a horse that had plenty of other racing under her belt. She'd had, I think, 5 starts already coming into this, and this was the first time that she was put on the lead. And it seemed to make a difference, Sarah, as Revolving Credit just was not able to outgame her.
Right, and stunningly is a horse that had shown at least a little bit of ability in the past, as you alluded to, and I think they chose the right tactics with her this day, being more aggressive with her early, and I just think that Revolving Credit was second best in there. Today she might find herself in a field where she is the best, and she has those 2 races under her belt now coming into this spot. She should show some early speed from the rail in here, and if she just runs the same race as last time or even takes another step forward, she's going to be awfully tough, and you can see bettors agree.
Big price, or I should say short price on her right now. The #4, Paris Style. Now, she did try the turf once, but really seemed to improve 2 starts back when getting back to the main track. And she's a horse, I think, that handles a wet track just fine, so she should be able to run well today. And she's one that has continued to kind of come along and strengthen now as a 3-year-old.
Right, just seems like the other horse. If you're trying to upset this favorite, she makes a lot of sense. And I just didn't really necessarily see the case for her to get the better of her main rival that she finished a little bit further behind 2 starts ago. But maybe you say, hey, she had a start in between then and now. She was against it last time out when She's Mo Bubbly was able to wire the field. We also saw another horse come out of that same day Air Show and win at a big price. So take that for what you will.
7-2 on Paris Style. Now as we welcome in, as promised, Richie Migliore here with us trackside. Richie, what are your thoughts on the opener?
Well, listen, obviously the one-horse Revolving Credit is going to be very tough to beat. Her last race really points her out. She took a big step forward. She should be forward here. I don't think she makes the lead, though. And being drawn inside, she's probably going to have to take some kick back from the horses in front of her, or at least a horse in front of her early on, see how she handles that. But listen, no false illusions here. She looks terrific from a physical perspective. She makes a lot of sense on paper as well. I thought the 2 Vivid Dreams is probably going to be the horse that winds up on the lead here. She is coming out of a very sharp pace, 6-furlong race in the mud in Saratoga where she was right on top of the pace. And I think she can get loose here. And days like this, sometimes getting loose can make a horse very, very tough to beat. And I love what I saw from her and got that kind of warm-up that's indicative of a horse that is going to be asked to be involved early. She really got an aggressive warm-up from Irad Ortiz Jr. Being a daughter of Arrogate should be no problem getting the mile distance. In fact, it might even elevate her game a bit. The 4-horse Paris Style, ultimately I'm going to pick her on top, guys, and it's a little bit of a stretch, and she's got a ways to go to close the gap on your favorite, the 1 Revolving Credit. But the track has a good seal on it, but there's a lot of standing water. Obviously, we've just been hit with this deluge over the last 2 days, and you don't have as tight a seal where they're running completely over the top of the ground. They're getting down into it a little bit. She is a very light-framed filly, a filly that I think will probably skip over the top of the ground a bit more than maybe some that carry just a touch more weight, just a thicker physical frame. So I'm going to take a little bit of a stab with your second choice. Again, not believing for a second that Revolving Credit isn't going to be very tough to beat.
All right, Richie, thank you. Paris Style, the French bred, purchased over at the Arcana sale by Kenny McPeak. And there is actually some good dirt pedigree if you're curious about a French bred filly running on the dirt on the bottom side. And it's U.S. pedigree as well, the dam sister to multiple Grade 1 winner, Unique Bella. So no problems with her. And I thought Richie's point about the wet track with this filly could be well taken.
Sure, of course. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Another thing, too, we saw that the rail was not the place to be last time we ran here on Friday. Of course, we've had a ton of rain since then. We could have a different track today, but just something to keep in mind going forwards through today's card.
Loading in for the opener on this Sunday, Belmont at the Big A. John and Brielle standing by with the call.
And we are set for the Sunday opener. And they're off. Paris Style, Rhea Valentine from the outside, Revolving Credit down at the rail. So 3 of them across. Just in behind is Vivid Dreams, along with Duke Girls. They move up the sloppy chute, and it's 3 of them across the track. The heavy favorite, Revolving Credit, is down at the rail. Rhea Valentine and the red blinkers on the outside is second. Now Paris Style sits back in third. Vivid Dreams and Duke Girls are 4th and 5th. The opening quarter mile, 23 and 2/5 seconds. Revolving Credit now has the lead here by a half length, with Rhea Valentine on the outside next in second. Duke Girls on the move on the outside up into third. Vivid Dreams is down at the rail, and Paris Style races in between horses. It is Revolving Credit by 3/4 of a length. Revolving Credit in front after an opening half mile in 47 and 1. Now Revolving Credit by a little more than a length. Rhea Valentine is in second. Vivid Dreams and Paris Style are heads apart 3rd and 4th, with Duke Girls at the back. And Revolving Credit is holding on to the lead here, and the lead is a length and a half. Rhea Valentine pushed along in second. Paris Style now moves up into third. Vivid Dreams down at the rail, and Duke Girls the trailer. They're into the stretch, and Revolving Credit has quickly opened up. Revolving Credit has built a 5-length lead, a 6-length lead now. Paris Style is in second, and then Rhea Valentine in third. It's Revolving Credit who splashes home here to break her maiden by 6 lengths. Paris Style second, Rhea Valentine third.
No surprise, in the opener, the favorite, Much the Best, Revolving Credit, gets the win, and she was actually on the front end early, Sarah. Nice clean face coming down to the wire.
Exactly. She was a horse that figured to show some sort of speed, ended up being the ultimate pace setter in here. Jose Ortiz probably just not wanting to mess around with her, and she just wins very, very easily. And here, Rhea Valentine outrunning her odds a little bit, showing a little bit more speed with those blinkers on. Definitely an improved performance from her debut, but no doubt about your winner in here. 2-5, very, very easy money in the end.
Logical Exacta, in fact, as the number 4 Peristyle checks in second. It was 1-4-5-3 in the opener. Revolving Credit with the win at 2-5. She was forwardly placed. Richie thought that the number 2 Vivid Dreams might be on the front end coming out of those sprints. She really wasn't asked much at the beginning, and Jose Ortiz's decision with Revolving Credit to be aggressive with her really paid off as he kept her out of any kickback or any trouble.
Right, and with Vivid Dreams, I see the point with her trying to come out of sprint races, perhaps would have been more involved early. She kind of looked like she was going to make a run up the rail and then just really had no answer.
2-5 favorite with the win in the opener on this Sunday. Belmont at the Big A will bring you prices, reactions, and more live racing after this on America's Day at the Races.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. Ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Warfront is the sire of over 100 lifetime stakes winners, including some of the sport's most talented runners both at home and abroad.
Down to the wire, Verstappen.
War Bomber in front, War Bomber. War Bomber's won the King Edward.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on this Sunday afternoon. Maybe we're a little overcast, but we're seeing some nice racing. It's good to have racing back here in New York today as the favorite gets the win. A program brought to you by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual and usually well. I remind everybody we have always plenty of opportunities going on over at Naira Bets. You can earn a 10% trifecta bonus today just by playing with Naira Bets. Play the races at Belmont at the Big A, and you can get a 10% bonus on your trifecta winnings. Just opt in at NairaBets.com. Make sure you check out everything that's going on over at Naira Bets, especially with that Pick 6 carryover coming up a little bit later on. The favorite winning the opener, though, Revolving Credit, much the best with Jose Ortiz in the saddle, and he is standing by with Richie.
Thanks, Acacia. And I'm here with a very clean Jose Ortiz. Jose, I thought there might be a possibility that someone would outrun you and maybe kick some dirt back in your face, but she got the lead very comfortably, didn't she?
Yeah, she left there running. Shot left the door open for me if I wanted to go to the lead or not. She broke very clean, so I decided to go to the lead. I'm riding the best horse, muddy track, one hole, so don't play around. Just take it to them and go there.
And absolutely the right call. We've had so much rain, but the track looks like it's in good shape despite the amount of moisture in it.
Yeah, it's very good. It's sealed. It's no water on top, which is great. I think the management do a great job as always. Glenn Kozak always on top of it, so I'm very happy to have him here.
I see. I think you got, what, 4 pairs of goggles on? What's normal for a day like this for you?
Probably 5. It depends on where I think I'm going to be. I like to wear 4 no matter what. Anything can happen. You can go stumble out of the gate with a speed horse and be on a traffic jam. But a day like today, if I know I'm going to come from the back, I'd probably rather to have 5.
All right, Jose, thank you for taking the time, and best of luck the rest of the day. And as you like to say, Acacia, clean faces win races.
Jose, a perfect example of that in the opener. Richie, we'll see if that trend continues and who might have the cleanest face in the upcoming second race, which is our first of 2 stakes on the card, the Joseph A. Jimma. This for the New York bred 2-year-old fillies, going 7 furlongs on the main track. Heavily favored Caldwell Loves Gold, 1-4 right now. She's 2 for 2 so far. She won the Seeking the Ante. The thing with her, though, Sarah, she does not tend to break very well.
No, she's not a horse that's really shown any early speed so far in her career, and you might be a little bit concerned about that going into a race like this, but it hasn't been a problem for her so far, and until I see it be an issue, I'm not going to read too much into it. She's just very good in her first couple of starts and significantly improved from her first to her second race.
The Joseph A. Jimma, a race we always look forward to for the New York bred fillies, named in honor of a former chairman of the New York Racing Association. We'll take a look at what else is still to come on today's program, though. Today's race is, as always, presented by Claiborne Farm. We have the Jimma. We also have the Bertram F. Bongard for the New York bred 2-year-old boys a little bit later on. As mentioned, slopping off the turf, and of course, a big highlight today in the 4th race. That pick 6 carryover will kick off with over 62,000 in the carryover. That was from Friday's sequence and tricky races on the program. We'll see what happens with the carryover today. Good luck if you are playing. We also want to mention that due to some weather we're hoping to avoid today, we do have some accelerated post times coming up for the rest of the card. So do note that race 2, originally scheduled for 1:36, will go off at 1:30. Race 3, 1:55. Race 4, 2:21 to kick off that pick 6 carryover. Some accelerated post times coming up a little bit later on today. So be sure to take a look at that. The 2-year-old horses to watch, presented by Keeneland Sales. We take a look at the race 8 field. Bertram F. Bongard, again for the 2-year-old New York bred boys, a little bit later on, 7 furlongs on the main track. And this one, we have Trust Fund as a scratch, but we will see El Grande O, Sarah, as a favorite. Second in the funny side last time out. Didn't get out of the gate well, but moved up to the front, tried to wire the field, and just run down late by the Wine Steward.
And perhaps as a principle, you don't necessarily want to take horses at short prices that have yet to win on a certain surface, as he hasn't won on the dirt yet so far, but his dirt races are just a lot better, honestly, than what we've seen from some of the other horses in this field. They were aggressive with him in this race. Jose Ortiz able to get him involved early, and the horse that beat him, the Wine Store, it seems like a pretty decent one for the Maker Barn. The only problem with him is that you went from getting 10-1 in both of his starts prior to this. Now he's going to be a very short price.
Lone Victory did come on the turf, and he does have some pedigree for either surface. That also includes the number 4, Skylar's Starship, who started on the turf behind El Grande O, then came back and was able to outgame the heavy favorite that day, Mischief Joke, to get a win and break his maiden at 7 furlongs at Saratoga.
And at least with him, you know that he doesn't need to be involved or aggressively handled early. He got a pretty good trip this day at a decent price, winning at 7-1 in there. And, you know, he ran his race. But with him, he was beating a horse in Mischief Joke that while he did come back and win and improve, he had taken some time to break his maiden, and I don't necessarily want to see that.
Agalos the Great, meanwhile, we saw him win in his second start. He comes back in just 10 days after breaking his maiden at the start of the Belmont at the Big A meet here, and he goes right into stakes company. vote of confidence from George Weaver?
Well, George Weaver has every right to be confident in his barn with all the success that he's had throughout this year so far, and especially lately as well. He was able to just run down a horse, Yo Banana Boy, who was very aggressive on the front end, making his debut, but now he has to be the inside speed versus the outside stalker.
There's a look at some horses to watch in the Bertram at Bongarde coming up a little bit later on, the 2-year-old horses to watch, presented by Keeneland Sales. Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing what those New York bred 2-year-olds, both the girls and the boys, do on today's card. Fun time of year as we start to move into the latter part of the 2-year-old season and see as they start to pick up some stakes wins to their name. Plenty more coming up, including the Joseph A. Jimma for the 2-year-old fillies after this.
Curlin was the leading sire of Grade 1 winners in 2021 with 5 and 2022 with 6. In 2023, Curlin is the leading sire of Grade 1 winners with 5.
Big race. Nest Clariere is too far back. A 16th to run, and Idiomatic has a 2-length lead. Nest is fully extended.
This is what winning looks like.
A huge performance all the way.
Curlin, the classic sire.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Welcome to the Adelphi Racing Club experience. Take ownership of stakes-winning thoroughbreds like Funny How, racing at the highest level circuits.
Funny How is in front. It's Funny How who's up by 3 lengths, approaching the 16th pole. It's all Funny How. Funny How, Katie Davis more than amused. Funny How wins the Broadway.
Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Glad to have you with us as we get ready for our first of 2 stakes on the day for the New York bred 2-year-olds. This one for the fillies, the Joseph A. Jimma, 7 furlongs on the main track as we see the tractors out there sealing things up after the first race. First race dominated on the front end with your heavy favorite. We'll see if that kind of trend continues throughout the day. But always like these 2-year-old races, Sarah, with some lightly raced fillies. And so far, you've seen one in Caldwell Loves Gold, who has been pretty dominant, winning the Seeking the Ante up at Saratoga. And she'll try to keep her streak unblemished, I should say, in this upcoming stake race.
Right. She's a horse that just makes a lot of sense in this spot from what we've seen from her so far. And she's facing some of the familiar foes that she was already able to defeat in that Seeking the Ante. So it might be a new face if anybody is able to get the better of her in here.
One thing will be a little bit interesting is as they stretch out to the 7 furlongs, and we say, okay, it's just an extra 1/8 of a mile. Is it really that big a difference? But for some horses, it is. And I think a horse like My Shady Lady, if anything, I was in the paddock for that Seeking the Ante, and I wrote down, I just wish it was 7 furlongs for her. And we'll see. Also, the track could come into play. Is there to look at Caldwell Loves Gold, who tends to not break that well. She's broken slow and a little bit distracted in the paddock prior to her first 2 races, but she's a horse that also should like a little bit more distance. How will she handle the going, and will she get a right kind of trip like she did last time out?
Yeah, I think a lot of factors to be determined, and I get maybe you wanting to take a different alternative to her, as you know that she's not going to be forward in a spot like this, but she seems like it hasn't been a problem for her so far. She was able to run down a horse for the Horacio de Paz barn in Stella Maris, who had yet to win a race, but seemed like a pretty highly touted horse for that barn, and just the margin that she was able to defeat the 3rd place finisher by, it seems like she might make a ton of sense in here, and the bettors obviously agree considering as she is going to be your second short price in this early double.
There's Caldwell Loves Gold, named for owner Kevin Dickey's son, Caldwell, and a daughter of Golden Sun. So a pretty special name in there as well. She's 2-5. Let's get a paddock report from Richie.
Yeah, Keisha, we're going to start down on the inside with the one, Kara's Time. More just talking about her from a behavioral standpoint. Kara's Time was tough in her first start when she broke her maiden. Actually lost Jose Lezcano after the race. They added blinkers last time. And obviously, she just did not run particularly well against several in this group, including Caldwell Loves Gold, your favorite. She's a filly with a short fuse, guys. You could see she is just on the edge always of doing something a little bit, to be kind, naughty. Just going to keep an eye on her in the post parade and see how she gets over to the gate and handles herself. She, like I said, she's kind of right there at the simmering point, ready to boil over. The 3, Caldwell Loves Gold. Listen, she's undefeated. She's a nice filly. She looks great. She's handling herself great here in the paddock. But she's also a filly that acted very negatively to kick back on a fast track. And usually that's compounded on an off racetrack. She gets another furlong to work with, but I do think that there's potential for her to react negatively to the kickback in her face. And the horse that absolutely wins me over here in the paddock is the 5, My Main Squeeze. She looks fantastic. This is a nice leggy filly, got a lot of length to her, a lot of scope. 7/8 should play well to her. She's got speed and she's got the outside. I think she's going to take a lot of beating here.
My Main Squeeze, the half-sister to multiple stakes winner and New York bred champion Rodney. A big pedigree for Buck Butler. Gotta love that family, as well as we are well familiar with Rodney on this circuit. We'll meet the field for the Joseph A. Gemma, starting things off with Kara's Time, who, as Richie touched on, she's a bit of a quirky filly.
She is, and I remember that race well that he was alluding to in her maiden. The blinkers now coming off for her, and we'll see if she can turn the tables on Caldwell Loves Gold. She does have some speed.
Here is My Shady Lady, 3rd in the Seeking the Ante.
Pony acting up a little bit more than she is right now. Blinkers go on for her. She can also be forward.
Caldwell Loves Gold, 2-5 favorite.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense based on her first 2 races. We'll see what kind of trip she gets. She's not going to be a part of the early pace.
Here's Nikki Jolene, first time on dirt.
Yeah, making that surface switch. She was actually cross-entered at a race in Finger Lakes. They opt to go here instead. She has shown some speed on the grass.
My Main Squeeze with that nice pedigree.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to Rodney, just as you mentioned, as well as the one-hit wonder Mama's Gold, who ran that 96 Buyer and then never quite returned to that race as well.
Also, stakes place looking for trouble in the family. This filly by Audible, who broke her maiden last time out pretty impressively. You can follow along, get all of the stats on the horses, trainers, and jockeys in today's races with free Equibase past performances. Check out NYRA.com/TV schedule to download your free past performances on all the races on today's show. Again, reminder, some accelerated post times today due to the weather, as we will kick off the early pick 4 with this first of 2 stakes today in the Joseph A. Gemma. Caldwell Loves Gold, the favorite, but My Main Squeeze. Got some good notes from Richie from a physical perspective back in the paddock. We'll take a look at her maiden score, and it is typical, Sarah, that you'll see a Mike Maker trainee take a big jump forward in their second start, and that's exactly what happened with this filly, as she greatly improved, and also when adding the blinkers.
Right, he definitely does better with his second-time starters overall, but even her 3rd on debut behind Miss Dior Cherie, a horse that you're very familiar with, was not that bad of a performance, and while she did improve in terms of Buyer speed figures, winning on September 1st, going to a 78, she also was a lot more professional in that race and a little bit more forward early. She draws an advantageous outside post in this compact field, and she just makes a lot of sense as the other horse if you're trying to find an alternative to your favorite.
She's 2-1 right now as your second choice, as Caldwell Loves Gold continues to be the favorite. My Main Squeeze, 2-1 right now on the board. The number 2, My Shady Lady, comes out of the Seeking the Ante. You have 3 of them who tried that. That does also include Kara's Time, who is the one that tried to set the pace. How do you expect things to play out from a pace perspective? My Shady Lady was off of it. Kara's Time is taking off the blinkers, but does draw the rail.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the blinkers on or off, sometimes when they go on for the first time, you're anticipating that that horse will be more forwardly placed. But with her, I think it might just be more of a relaxation thing because we know that she's a little bit more on edge. So I do still expect her to be forward. My Shady Lady sitting just off.
We'll see how it plays out with all those equipment changes down towards the inside. For more on this field, let's head back to Richie trackside.
Yeah, guys, and I'm just going to talk about the two favorites because I really feel strongly it's a two-horse race. The 3, Caldwell Loves Gold. Again, undefeated, making a beautiful physical impression. I just got to meet the actual Caldwell, and the only thing better looking than these horses is Caldwell. He is an absolute cutie, and gave me a high five, too. But I am going to pick the 5, My Main Squeeze, for the simple reason that she just has more natural speed. And particularly on racetracks like this, I am always going to lean towards horses that are going to be more forward, have to deal with less kickback or less traffic. It's a small field, drawn outside, and natural speed, and just a really good-looking individual that looks like she'll appreciate 7 furlongs, even though she was fast enough to go essentially gate to wire last time, going 6. Caldwell Loves Gold is going to have to deal with kickback most likely and come with a run. And listen, she's shown quality already, and she's shown the ability to overcome that. But again, I'll always lean towards speed on days like this when the racetrack is a bit off.
Richie, thank you. We'll see how it plays out 4 to 5 and 9 to 5 with your 2 favorites right now on the board. Very fun that Caldwell himself is here. He tried to steal my microphone during the post-race interview after the Seeking the Ante. He likes the spotlight, which is fun.
I remember, and he might get a little bit more time in it today if the namesake of his is able to be successful. I love that they brought him out in the rain.
I love that.
That's great.
I love that. No, really special. I know for the family, a special moment with this filly winning a stake up at Saratoga, and now a heavy favorite going into the gate for the Joseph A. Jimma. And that's what it's all about, enjoying the thrill of racing with your family and friends and all of the excitement it brings you along the way. First of 2 stakes for the New York bred 2-year-olds today. We send it up to another New York bred, John Embrial, standing by with the call.
Main Squeeze. There in the gate. And they're off. Nikki Jolene, My Main Squeeze, and from the rail, there goes Kara's Time. Kara's Time has taken over. Nikki Jolene, My Shady Lady, they're right together with My Main Squeeze on the outside in 4th, and it's 4 lengths back to Caldwell Loves Gold, who is the early trailer in 5th, and now moving up just a bit from the back. Kara's Time, long shot leader here by 3/4 of a length. My Shady Lady is second by 2. My Main Squeeze and the white blinkers runs in 3rd, followed by Nikki Jolene and Caldwell Loves Gold. Opening quarter over the off-going in 22 and 4/5 seconds. So it's Kara's Time, the leader here by a length. My Shady Lady continues to track in 2nd. My Main Squeeze on the outside now begins to gain some ground from 3rd. And Caldwell Loves Gold is in gear now, up into 4th, about 5 lengths from the front. Nikki Jolene is the trailer. The half and 46 and 1. Kara's Time is still the one to catch. She leads here by 2.5 lengths. My Shady Lady in 2nd. Caldwell Loves Gold out in the middle of the track. And then My Main Squeeze. Kara's Time is the leader. Caldwell Loves Gold continues to gain, but now they're in inside the 16th pole. Kara's Time is the leader. Caldwell Loves Gold in 2nd. It is Kara's Time to pull off a huge upset at 22 to 1. Under Dylan Davis.
Kara's Time takes them every step of the way. We talked about speed on the wet track, and it did seem to be the advantage today. Caldwell Loves Gold, your favorite, Sarah, with a lot to do. She ran exceptionally well, all things considered. Just couldn't catch that pace setter.
No, and no one was really making a dent at this leader, at least in the early stages. And then as we got into the stretch, with Caldwell Loves Gold being the only one to make up significant ground in this race. But when you have a situation like this where the track is a little bit wet, and I say a little bit facetiously, but she was forwardly placed, she was aggressively handled by Dylan Davis, and it was the right move, and we might be dealing with a situation where that's where you want to be.
And I think to Richie's point about how maybe it's not necessarily a speed favoring track, but just if horses have a tough time going through the kickback, I think in general on a wet track, it's an advantage to be forward just to take away one other situation that they would not prefer to deal with, especially for young horses, these being 2-year-olds.
Right. It's definitely something worth considering. And when you have those inexperienced horses, you want more things to go their way, right? You want things to at least try to work out for them as much as possible. And Kara's Time, though she's shown a little bit of a tendency to be a little bit fiery in the past, she was well handled today and she got the job done at a huge price.
22-1 over your 4-5 favorite, 1-3-5-2. Gate to wire in the Joseph A. Jimma will bring you prices, reactions, and more. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
Speightstown. Munning. Echo Town.
It's Echo Town for Joe Talamo, and Echo Town raced away.
And Echo Town is drawing away in the stretch. Echo Town wins the Allen Jerkin Stakes.
A sire line so prolific, it repeats itself. Echo Town.
The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearling Sale, offering a catalog of yearlings from many of the sport's most lucrative state-bred programs. Among the nation's richest sources of stakes caliber horses, graduates of this sale have won or placed in over 200 stakes races in just the past 2 years alone. Recent stars include Leave No Trace, winner of the Spinaway Stakes, and runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearlings, Monday and Tuesday, October 2nd and 3rd in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by NYRA Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nyrabets.com or download the app today. We just saw an upset in our first of 2 stakes as we take a look at this Winner's Circle lead-in, brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton November Sale, the world's premier breeding stock event. Nominate now to the sale where stars are sold. Kara's Time, every step of the way. $47 winner. Caldwell Loves Gold was the only one making up ground. Disappointing effort from My Main Squeeze. But Kara's Time, trained by Mitch Friedman, who's standing by with Richie.
Thanks, Acacia. I'm really happy to be joined here by Mitch. And Mitch, Kara's Time, broke her maiden, showing really good speed. Right. Showed good speed last time. You added blinkers. What was the thought process behind the blinkers? I know she was a little difficult first time.
I put them on and breezed with them in Saratoga a couple times, and it was a little bit faster than what I wanted. But it looked like she came out of that pretty good, those breezes. And said, we'll take a shot in the race, you know, maybe keep her focused. You know, she's got a little attitude to her. You see that, you know, she likes to let the riders go their own way, and she goes her own way. But and I just slowed the works down this time. I told, you know, we worked nice 48s instead of the 46s, 47s. And I figured the wet track would be an equalizer with everybody else in the race, you know.
And having speed certainly a good thing. Now you've trained for Richard Greeley for a long time. Talk about that relationship a little bit.
You know, we're like brothers, you know, and you know, I ask him more about his business than he asks when he wants to ask me about the horses. I change the subject to, you know, how'd you do today in business, you know? So it's like a fun. We laugh, we talk serious, we laugh, we have a good time, and he loves the game. At least you see that. He's a good guy and just happy to be in the game.
Well, it's great to see you get it done. You do such a good job.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, and guys, what you don't know, we used to both go to school in Brentwood. The 3 months I went to high school, and he went to Ross and I went to Sonderling. And since he still can hear me, Sonderling rules.
All right, Richie, I love it. Little throwdown there in the winner's circle. Kara's Time, impressive winner and an upset winner of the Joseph A. Chima for trainer Mitch Friedman. Here's a look at the field for race 3, maiden special weight off the turf to be run a mile on the main track. This a New York bred maiden special weight, and Nolita, one of the main track only runners, stretching out in distance, currently the heavy favorite for trainer Bill Mott. That's a perfect segue. Speaking of trainer Bill Mott, he's got plenty of big stable stars and big horses in the barn, and that does include Cody's Wish, one of the most heartwarming stories that we've seen in racing, not to mention a very, very good racehorse. He could be one of the big names on the program as we take a look at what's coming up in next week's stakes schedule. Cody's Wish pointing to the Grade 2 Vosburg on Saturday. And do note, Sarah, Friday, those stakes rescheduled from yesterday when we canceled. They'll be brought back Friday, the Noble Damsel and the Ashley Cole, which we'll hopefully get to run on turf.
Right, exactly. It'll be nice to run those races on the grass, hopefully. They get to keep their designation, the Noble Damsel, as a Grade 3. Big day on Saturday coming up.
As far as Cody's Wish is concerned, as mentioned, pointing to the Grade 2 Vosburg on Saturday. Cody's Wish, a very, very talented runner, but a horse that they tried stretching out in Saratoga. You can certainly understand he already won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, so see if he could potentially go to the Classic. It was not to be, and now they're going back to what he likes.
Right, exactly. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Olympiad's Whitney, where he just, I feel as though maybe the distance, of course, but he also just didn't really run his race that day, and Olympiad came back and he ran second to Flightline in the Breeders' Cup Classic, so certainly hoping to see Cody's Wish back to form as he cuts back in distance.
Third in that Whitney when stretching out after just a tremendous streak of wind, which included the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, the Forgo, the Med Mile. Pioneering Spirit, though, a horse who will be pointing to the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic. We saw a horse that switched to the turf for Linda Rice after being claimed and then just go on a complete tear, running second in the Sword Dancer and then wheeling back a week later and winning the Bernard Baruch on closing day.
He's just been such a monster since switching over to the grass, and I know that we don't have the strongest in the older male turf division here outside of Up to the Mark, so he's really finding a niche where they need some sort of horse to fulfill that role of just being capable and consistent on the grass, and he's certainly doing that.
And I'm sorry, third in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer. Here's a look at who could be lining up in this year's Joe Hirsch Turf Classic, a mile and a half on the turf next Saturday, and he could be a very intriguing runner, and as you said, it's kind of a wide open division. There really isn't a big star. Up to the Mark, unfortunately, was sidelined for the summer races. We didn't get to see him much after winning impressively in the Manhattan, but it leaves things kind of up for grabs as far as the division is concerned.
Right, and of course we have those European horses that are extremely capable and talented. We'll see Rebels Romance come back and try to avenge his race last time where he threw the rider, and we're just looking for some sort of American turf horse to be able to compete with these Europeans, and it might be him.
We'll see how things play out, but that's not it for the graded stakes we have looking forward to. Charge It, pointing to the Grade 2 Woodward, a horse that we know he has a world of talent, Sarah, and you always wonder if we're going to see it.
Right, and if we see a race like we saw when he wins the Suburban that we're showing back here, he could be a very dominant force going into the Woodward. And of course this year with our older male horses overall, not only on the grass, we're a little bit lacking after we were treated to the superstar that was a Flightline last year, and one of his bigger races could certainly make him a factor coming up in the Woodward.
4th in the Whitney this summer. A horse that was 2nd in the Whitney, though, is Zandon. He's now riding a streak of 3 second-place finishes. 2nd in the Westchester, 2nd in the Met Mile behind Cody Swish, and then 2nd in the Whitney last time out. And he's a horse that's been right there. And while he's not really the winning type, he's 2 for 12 in his career, he's a horse you can always count on to just kind of show up and run his race.
Yeah, key him in the exacta, right? With those 6 second-place finishes, you know that you're going to get a good effort out of him. I just wish that he was a horse that had been more of that winning type, and especially coming into this field, it'd be nice if he had put a little bit more together.
Everybody coming off of a in-the-money finish, or in Law Professor's case, a 6th-place finish back in the Pimlico Special. As we take a look at the probables for the Woodward, we'll see who can jump up and get that big win that they are searching for. It'll be very intriguing, as you mentioned, as far as another wide-open division in the older male dirt category. We'll take a quick break, and we'll take a look at some talented 3-year-olds, and that does include Saudi Crown, who was dominant in yesterday's Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, throwing his hat into the ring. Moving on to the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Introducing Venezuelan Hug, the tenacious, towering son of Constitution, now standing in New York. After breaking his maiden at Gulfstreet, he dispatched Cityman and Allowance Company at Saratoga, going on to 6 wins in 10 starts, finishing with 3 straight stakes victories, including the Grade 3 Canadian Turf. Now a versatile sire, complementing any mare with size, looks, and athleticism that's been called the best-kept secret in New York. Venezuelan Hug, standing at Mill Creek Farm. Visit millcreeksaratoga.com to book your mare today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
It's 1,000 words fighting back, coming down to the finish. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is one stunning picture.
1,000 words just in front. 1,000 words wins the Robert B. Lewis.
Monterey P is full out now, 2nd on the outside. And they're coming down to the line, and 1,000 words has done it.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races on this Sunday afternoon, getting ready for the 3rd race on the card against accelerated post times today due to the weather. This 3rd race coming up is off the turf to be run at 1 mile on the main track. And there's a look at Nolita. She has had 2 races both on the dirt, including in the mud in debut, both sprinting, and will stretch out in distance. And I think from her physicality, from what I've seen from her, at least Sarah, I like the mile for her.
You do? Okay, that's good to know, because I had a little bit of a question about her going a little bit further, at least on the dam side. It's much more of a sprinty pedigree, but she should be forwardly placed in here coming out of this sprint race where she almost got to a horse that showed a lot of speed early on in Richie's Princess.
Richie's Princess, who was very quick early when she was drifting. Nolita tried to go down to the rail and come up the inside, just couldn't reach her. Richie's Princess, who did disappoint in her subsequent start, but was dominant on debut in this maiden score against fellow New York breds back at Saratoga. So Nolita stretching out in distance today. She is your heavy favorite as one of 2 main track onlys in this field. For more, though, let's get some thoughts and a paddock report from Richie.
Yeah, Keisha, we're going to start with the 5 North End lady from the Barclay Tag Barn. She absolutely gets the paddock check mark. She could not look any better. Her energy level is so apparent, and the way she's kind of framed up, even on the walk with her head bowed, kind of, I liken it to a coiled up spring waiting to be released. Now, is a confluence of things that makes us like horses. Obviously, from a physical perspective, that's something that I'm very high on. What you see on paper, their proven form, and then the way you think a race or a racetrack's playing. And I still think you want speed today, and you want to be forward, and she doesn't have the most natural speed, so I'll downgrade her on that end. But from a physical perspective, she's absolutely stunning here in the paddock for trainer Barclay Tagg. The 10-horse Nolita looks great, you know, coming from Billy Mott. Dreammaker stable, Tom Gallo's Dreammaker. She really could not look any better, and she's coming out of 6 furlong races now, you know, stretching out on this off the turf event where she's going to be forward, and being forward is key. And she's taking a lot of money because she looks good on paper, she looks good physically, and she fits the profile of the racetrack. And then the 11 Foxy Cara, Mitch Friedman looking for back-to-back wins here, and he already acknowledging to me he, you know, understands the value of speed. Now, they took the blinkers off. Last time she showed more speed on a slow pace, going a mile at Saratoga. But I would expect this filly to be forward, particularly with the success they just had winning the Joseph A. Jimma. So if she goes, I'll definitely elevate the 11 Foxy Cara, but Nolita is going to take a lot of beating here.
All right, Richie, thank you. The 2 main track onlys to the outside, Foxy Cara. Yeah, she could be forwardly placed. Mitch Friedman obviously looking for his own rolling double here, Sarah. But as you and I were just talking about, she was pretty much the only dirt horse in that last race. And it was a horse that looked more like a turf horse that won it at a big price. The pedigree's more sprint to me. Physically, I've always questioned wanting to go long with her. And just off of that last race, she's a bit tough to trust.
She is, and she's had her fair share of chances as well. It's not like that was one of her only starts. She's run 7 times. She's finished 3rd 4 of those efforts. And in that race last time, she was forward, and she kind of fell apart in the later stages. But the winner of that race was forward too, so you can't say that she was fully against it in terms of dynamics of that race. And the blinkers come off, and here they've kind of tinkered with the blinkers with her a couple of times. She had them on for debut. They took them off in her second start, put them back on, taking them off again. I don't know what the difference maker is for her, but I feel like she should have won last time.
I'm in agreement with you. Here is the number 5 North End Lady. She'll actually break from the rail. Richie liked what he saw from her.
Yeah, gets Irad Ortiz Jr. now with this race coming off the turf. I like her a little bit. We'll talk about her later on.
She's a natural back to the main track.
This is another one that's had her fair share of chances, 13 of them, and only hit the board once.
First-time starter, Saint Chapelle.
This is a good spot to perhaps look for a new face in here, and interesting that she does stay in for her debut.
Number 10, Nolita, 2-5 now is your favorite.
A big improvement from her first to her second start in terms of buyer speed figure. She just has to handle the distance.
Here is Foxy Cara. Blinkers off, as we talked about.
We'll see what they do with her early. She can show some speed. She can come from off of it, but I just think that she's run out of time in terms of her chances, although she is a fair enough price if you like her today.
5-1 right now versus that very short price she was last time. You can join Naira Bets and play all the action on our program with earning up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Sign up with promo code MATCH200 and you can earn up to a $200 deposit match after your first deposit. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NairaBets.com for your $200 deposit match. The number 5 North End Lady comes out of that same Sail the Wind race that Foxy Cara does. She's getting a big warm-up from Irad Ortiz. She finished a distant 3rd that afternoon.
Right, she was a big price that day, and 2 of the horses that she did beat in there, to be fair, were turf horses that were pretty much eased in there just to, you know, realize that they were not handling that surface and to bring them back for another day. So the 3rd versus that field may look a little bit better on paper than it actually was, but that was her first start on dirt aside from her maiden, and I feel as though she at least sat close enough inside of horses, took some of that kickback, and then switched out wide. And while she finished a distant 3rd in there, I feel as though she's kind of the only alternative that I would want to your favorite, and with her I at least know that she can go a mile.
She has shown that she can handle the distance, no problem. Even ran a mile and a 16th a couple of times on the turf. 1-2 now on your favorite. Very short price. There is the number 7, Saint Chapelle. It's a first-time starter. The dam was all turf, and she hasn't produced much as of yet. But the second dam was a good dirt horse.
Yeah, and the City of Lights can kind of do either. He does okay with his first-time starters as well. He's 17% with those debut runners, more so with the 2-year-olds than the 3-year-olds and up. But this is a good spot to try to take a horse that is a new face to this group, because outside of your favorite, there isn't much else to go on, and this horse could just be finding the right field.
And even if it is a case that maybe they think she might be more of a turf horse, but maybe she just might need a race. If you stay in, and you never know what'll happen, it can only certainly benefit from a first-time starter perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. No problems with her staying in here, and she'll at least get something out of this race, that's for sure.
2 to 5 now on your favorite Nolita. Very short price on that main track only runner. For more on the rest of the field, though, we'll head back to Richie.
Yeah, guys, not a lot has changed, from my opinion, in the paddock. The horses that look the best in the paddock continue to impress on the racetrack, starting with the 5, North End Lady. Good, aggressive warm-up away from the pony with Irad Ortiz Jr., who picks up the mount. Junior Alvarado on the 10, Nolita. I think she's probably your most likely runner-up. I think that she will be a bit outrun, and she'll come with a finish. I have a really hard time seeing past the 10, Nolita. She looks incredible in the flesh. She's got natural speed coming out of 6 furlong races. She's going to be forward, if not on the lead. I just think she's going to be too tough to beat. Getting to the 11, Foxy Cara, guys, yeah, they take the blinkers off. Last time, it was a slow pace. She was quite disappointing at a short price. But I saw a horse that just kind of ran on one breath with the blinkers. Almost seemed like she panicked a bit and just didn't settle. And I like to talk about, you know, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. If you're not going quickly, but the horse isn't doing it properly and kind of working against the rider, I think that saps more energy out of him. I think the blinkers off, this horse will be more comfortable. And I think you'll see a better version of Foxy Cara. I just don't think it's going to be good enough to take on your big favorite here in the 10, Nolita.
All right, Richie, thank you. Was third, 2 back behind Nolita, who was 4.5 lengths in front of her. It was really kind of a 2-horse race in there where Richie's Princess did dominate, and while Foxy Cara ran on a little bit when that was, again, sprinting too, distant behind Nolita. We'll see if she can be a little bit more relaxed, as Richie was talking about, with those blinkers coming off.
Right, and Mitch Friedman, I will say, he was able to have a successful blinker change in the previous race with the blinkers coming off of Cara's time, but prior to that, he was actually 0-for-14 blinkers being switched off over the past 5 years, so maybe take what you will out of that, but now it's 1-for-15.
6 to 1 on Foxy Cara. Again, I think you brought up a really important point that, yes, she's had her chances, but if you want to give her a chance today may be the day to do so, because she's 5 to 1 versus 1 to 4. She's a generous price, and it's kind of one of those things where you wouldn't want her as the favorite.
No, absolutely not. And I don't necessarily want Nolita at 1 to 4 either, but Foxy Cara is the other dirt horse in this spot. I mean, she's the one with the proven dirt form. So you either have her, a first-time starter, 2 horses that have been a little bit better on the turf so far. So as far as your other options go, she does seem like the one you would gravitate to.
We'll see how it plays out. Race 3 off the turf. Johnny Aya's the call.
And they're off. Foxy Cara from the outside, North End Lady down towards the rail, and Nolita is up close. And then it's Saint Chapelle, and she's a natural, the early trailer, in 5th, who's a bit ranked there at the back. Up front, it is Nolita, the heavy favorite, the leader here by 3/4 of a length. Then comes Saint Chapelle, second by a head. Foxy Cara's on the outside in 3rd, North End Lady in the white blinkers down towards the rail, and she's a natural. Opening quarter mile over the sloppy and sealed track in 23 and 4/5 seconds. So it is Nolita leading the way here by 3/4 of a length. And Saint Chapelle is next in second, then the trio of Foxy Cara, along with She's a Natural and North End Lady down at the fence. It is Nolita who's holding on to the lead here by a neck. Ran the half in 47 and 3. Nolita challenged here by Saint Chapelle on the outside. Nolita narrowly. Saint Chapelle runs in second as they go midway around the far turn. Nolita, Saint Chapelle, and Foxy Cara now begins to pick it up on the extreme outside. Room on at the rail for North End Lady, and she looks to come on through. Here comes North End Lady to challenge Nolita. North End Lady at the rail. Nolita on the outside. Foxy Cara has tailed off as they move for the 8th pole. It is Nolita and North End Lady. And the two of them are right together. Now is 16th to the finish. North End Lady on the inside and Nolita on the outside. The stretch duel continues, and the duel will go to the favorite Nolita. North End Lady finished second, and farther back, Foxy Cara was third.
They made it exciting in this off-the-turf third race. Nolita, who was put on the front end by Junior Alvarado, very game to come back when pressed by a very game North End Lady.
Yeah, I mean, she had every chance to go by this horse, North End Lady, who had been a little bit off the pace, and Nolita able to use some of that dirt form and class to get the better of her in here, a horse that was forwardly placed coming out of those sprint races. But I think the biggest takeaway for me out of this race is that I'm kind of done with Foxy Cara.
Yeah, I had signed the divorce papers coming into this race, so I'm with you. Well, listen, I'll put it this way. I just don't think she wants to go this far. I think she's more of a sprinter.
So if she cut back and was still a fair enough price, you'd be willing to give
If
her
she
another
cut back and she was a fair
opportunity?
price, I'd give her another chance. Just, you know, I know that she disappointed in here, but she's, I think it's worth discussing. But your 1-2 favorite, a winner in the third.
Yeah, not exactly winning like a 1-2 shot should in here. I don't know if did North End Lady ever pass her, and then
I don't think she ever.
I don't think she ever really got ahead in front. Yeah.
But it was a good call by you, who liked North End Lady, and Richie really liked what he saw from her in the flesh warming up, and she was not on the front end. Irad Ortiz kind of took her back at the beginning, and she came up the inside, which is not an easy thing to do.
No, and I mean, maybe she is ultimately a turf horse, but she's done well in both of her off-the-turf races over her last two, and she's been well spotted, so she was the only other one I wanted, but your favorite gets it done.
10-5, 11-6 in the third. Belmont at the Big A. 1-2 favorite Nolita with the win. More on her as we also kick off the Pick 6 carryover when we come back. Stay with us on America's Take the Races.
Life is good. Really, really, really good.
Life is good. Opens up here.
He's a rocket ship.
Life is good. Clears the field. Still in command.
Galloping without any urgency.
Back in the winner's circle.
No challenge from anyone.
They ran him off their feet. Life is good is looking good. And this colt is incredible.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights, like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. Start earning your $200 sign-up bonus when you sign up with offer code GET200.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Naira Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app today. In the third race, the favorite was victorious Nolita, getting the win in her first start stretching out. But she has a very nice winner's circle crowd there to cheer her on.
She's got a group. She's got a full house today coming out in the rain to support her.
We love that. Congratulations to Team Dreammaker Racing. Ridden to victory by Junior Alvarado, who's standing by with Richie.
Thanks, Acacia. And Junior, Nolita, big, strong filly. Looked like stretching out really helped her get in a nice rhythm.
Yeah, you know, we thought she was going to handle the distance fine, you know, today. You know, I just had a rider like the best horse. You know, she broke good out of there. You know, she was coming from 2 short races. So I said, like, let me use the speed a little bit at the beginning. And, you know, if she's good enough, we might be able to take the lead and, you know, take it to them.
3 races so far today on the card, all won basically wire to wire. 2 horses that were big favorites and 1 long shot. Do you think speed is dominant today, or is just the best horses are winning?
You know, I think, you know, it was a question mark coming into this race. You know, that's why I said, like, am I going to, you know, however she breaks, I'm still probably going to use her a little more than I want to use to make sure be very forwardly placed because, you know, the first 2 races, horses were in the lead. So, you know, my horse, I think she was just the best. But, you know, we might have to really be paying attention. There might be a little speed bias today.
It almost looked like to me going in the far turn, the outside horse, the 7 or Saint Chapelle, made a little bit of a run at you. Like maybe your filly was a little bit lost because she was on the lead. I saw you kind of change your hold and kind of get her attention again. Did she kind of get to looking around a little?
Yeah, you know, she's nice and traveling comfortable, but a couple times in the race, you know, I can feel that she really was kind of like wanted to really slow down on me, so I got to make sure just keep at least the rhythm. You know, I didn't want to pick that up at that point, but just make sure to keep it in the rhythm that I had. And yeah, you know, it was the first time for her being on the lead. You know, she might be a little confused of what was happening. You know, probably she didn't know what to do. She's only her 3rd start, you know, and I think mentally she's probably now getting it together. So, you know, that was just a couple of things that we're kind of working on the race with her.
You've really forged a nice relationship with Billy Mott, riding so many of his horses. Talk a little bit about that relationship and how much confidence it gives you when you're working closely with a trainer.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm the lucky one to being able to ride those nice horses for Hall of Fame, but Billy Mott, you know, it's been great. And like I said, I mean, he just let me ride the horses, you know, and like I say, I've been made move that because those move I won the race, and I make some mistake, and he says like, well, we'll win next time, and you know, he gives me the chance to redeem myself, and I think that's built even more the confidence that we have, and we rarely make mistakes just because I think, you know, I have a fresh mind when I go into the race when I ride any horse for him.
Congratulations, great job. And guys, it really is, if more trainers would give riders the confidence that, hey, if you make a mistake, it's not going to cost you your job. You're going to get better results from your riders because they can have that clear mind and not have to worry so much about making mistakes.
It's been a great relationship between Junior Alvarado and Bill Mott. Of course, Junior teaming up with some of the top horses in the barn. That includes Cody's Wish, who we'll hopefully get a chance to see next weekend in the Vosburg. But here it's the 1-2 favorite, Nolita, with the win in race number 3. We turn our attention to the 4th race. It's a mile on the main track, New York bred allowance for fillies and mares, and 4 to 5 right now on Buston Bay to the outside. And Sarah, this is the race that kicks off that pick 6 carryover.
Yeah, lots of decisions to make throughout the sequence, especially in here, whether you'll take that 4 to 5 or you'll spread out and try to beat this one. Of course, I rather tease Junior on the outside. You know you're going to get a short price.
That horse, Buston Bay, second last time out in now first off the claim for Fernando Abreu. We'll talk a little bit more about her chances and the rest of the field that does kick off today's Pick 6 sequence. More when we come back. Hope that you've got your tickets ready and ready to play with that carryover coming up after this.
Liam's Map, a 2-time Grade 1 winner with 6 consecutive triple-digit buyers, including a 114 to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's already taking the lead as a sire with Grade 1 winners Basin, Wicked Whisper, Colonel Liam, and Juju's Map, plus multiple 6-figure yearling sales and 2-year-old sales up to $1.2 million. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Liam's Map, only at Lane's End.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
We watched his career. You know, the speed he had was tremendous. So we bought 2 or 3, underbidder on several. Really nice volatile colt in his last sale that I think maybe $600,000. Beautiful colt.
Tom, $600,000. Thank you very much and good luck.
Perfect sire for 2-year-old sales, and so we'll be bidding against some of our peers, no doubt. So we're looking forward to it. We like a little competition. You know, it's fun.
On a perfect day, there is no finer place in all of sports.
Nerves, excitement, and anticipation.
Than beautiful, truly stunning. For the Breeders' Cup World Championships.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Acacia Clement, Sarah El-Badawi, and Richard Migliori joining you. We're getting ready to kick off the Pick 6 sequence in this upcoming 4th race on the Sunday, Belmont at the Big A. We had a $62,000 carryover coming into it, over $91,000 in the pool so far, kicking things off in the 4th race. But first, yesterday down at Parks in the Pennsylvania Derby, we saw Saudi Crown, Sarah, a horse who had just missed in the Jim Dandy behind Forte, had plenty of early speed, and Brad Cox saying at the end of the summer this was the plan for him all along. He got a 105 Beyer speed figure for this performance.
Yeah, that's 3 triple-digit Beyers in a row for him, a horse that has that stunning early speed, just as you mentioned. And this was one of those races that Timeform US denoted as a fast pace. It's because he's fast, not because it was going to be overly contested. So able to hold off an oncoming Dreamlike, who was charging in the later stages for the Todd Pletcher barn, but he gets his grade 1, and we'll see where they go with the Breeders' Cup options they have ahead.
He's a talented 3-year-old, and as we were talking about earlier, with a pretty wide open, older kind of handicap division, the 3-year-olds, I think, are the ones that are really the most exciting. Arguably, the leader of the pack right now is Arcangelo, winner of the Belmont Stakes and the Travers Breeze Friday in Saratoga, with Javier Castellano aboard and Jenna Antonucci saying he'll then ship out to California in preparation for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Right, and he's the leader of this division clearly after his win in both of those races, the Belmont Stakes and the Travers, and what he's done before that in the Peter Pan. He's a tactical type as well, and he's extremely dangerous going into that Breeders' Cup Classic, and you know that he can handle the distance of 1.25 miles and more if he needed to.
Yeah, that's no problem, having one going 1.5 miles in the Belmont Stakes, and of course winning the Travers. Forte was a horse that was the dominant one as a 2-year-old. Then he came back as a 3-year-old, winning the Florida Derby. We saw him win the Jim Dandy this summer. He's a horse that has run big races, pointing to the Breeders' Cup Classic after not being able to compete with Arcangelo in the Travers.
You know, it was kind of a disappointing Travers from him in general, but the body of work that he had put together prior to that race, I don't see why they wouldn't go forwards if there's nothing physically the matter with him going ahead to that Breeders' Cup Classic, and we'll see what kind of effort we get from him. You know, a trainer like Todd Pletcher will have him ready.
Especially given the fact that he won that Jim Dandy over Saudi Crown, who we just saw winning the Pennsylvania Derby so impressively coming out of that Jim Dandy. Here's the top 3-year-olds, and it's a pretty exciting list, and some really intriguing runners, some horses that you could expect to improve even more in the latter half of their 3-year-old season.
Yeah, and I think they're just really fulfilling that gap that we're kind of looking for with those older male dirt horses. The 3-year-old division is strong this year.
a lot of excitement with them moving on to that Breeders' Cup Classic. Horses in the paddock for this 4th race, as mentioned, will start the Pick 6 sequence today. That's a look at the number 4, Dufresne, who is going back to the main track. Did actually break his maiden at Aqueduct, or I should say, win in the first level allowance at Aqueduct on a muddy track. 9-1 right now. Your favorite, though, 3-5 on Buston Bay to the outside. Is he too short a price for you? Excuse me.
Yes, I mean, horses coming out of the Linda Rice barn, whatever outfit they might be going to, they don't necessarily tend to perform quite as well as they were performing under her care. So 3-5 is awfully short to take on a horse that might be the class of the field, but that's an awfully short price leaving Linda Rice.
Potentially some things to prove today. For more on this field, let's get a paddock report from Richie.
Yeah, guys, a really interesting kind of thoughts in this race, starting with the 3. Excuse me, my notes are all wet again. Freddie Mo Factor. She's got speed. I know she's a big price, but she looks great, and she does sport a win in off-going, and I just really like what I'm seeing from her. And I think if Omar Hernandez Moreno just lets her bounce along, I think you'll see the best of her. She really is well turned out here. This might be the best I've ever seen this mare from a physical perspective. The 4, Dufresne, also making a nice physical appearance, adds blinkers, you know, coming off turf races, but has run well in off-going in the past, and certainly could be forward, as she was last December back here at Aqueduct going a mile in off-going. And Dufresne, Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption, I mean, he certainly handled muck and slop coming through a pipe to escape prison, so maybe she'll really enjoy this muck and mire we got here. When I look at horses in the paddock, guys, I don't look at their odds first. I don't even look at the program. I look at the horses first, and then I go back to reference my program, who they are, their connections, the prices. And the first horse that stood out to me was the 6, Buston Bay. Now, obviously, Buston Bay is a morning line favorite, your favorite right now, taking a lot of money. But that tells me that, you know, I wasn't swayed by her odds. I was swayed by just how good she looked from a physical perspective.
And she is 3-5 right now. Richie, thank you. Buston Bay, a horse that has won a lot of races recently. She's in great form, Sarah. And while she's being claimed away from Linda Rice, I do think it's encouraging that the fact that she's held her form through multiple barns, winning for 3 separate trainers throughout 2023.
Right, and Fernando Abreu is certainly a capable trainer in his own right, so it's not like, you know, she's going nowhere at all. It's just that horses leaving Linda Rice, we do see this happen pretty frequently, where the numbers are just there to support that they don't run quite as well, and she is so short a price it's worth considering. But she's a talented horse, and she's likely not going to be off a lot of Pick 6 tickets.
Meeting the rest of the field, 7-day turnaround for the 1, OK Honey.
She's in a spot that makes some sense in here, and Andy Serling believes she's better on a wet track. There's evidence that that's true.
April Antics, winner last time out at a mile.
Just in really good form right now. A horse that had propensities to hit the board is doing a little bit better now.
Here's the 3, Freddie Mo Factor, big price, but Richie liked her.
She does bring speed to the table, and that might be what you need today.
Here is Dufresne, blinkers on.
She has a win that could make her a competitor here. It's just a matter of where it is.
Temperamental, stretches out in distance.
Another horse that has some races that could fit in this spot. We just haven't seen them lately.
And your short price favorite, Buston Bay.
Just in great form, and really the class of this field, we just don't know what we're going to get on the barn change.
That's the field for this 4th race. Does kick off today's Pick 6 sequence. As Sarah, any thoughts on the sequence? It does include our second of 2 stakes today, the Bertram and Bongard for the 2-year-old New York breds a little bit later, but some thoughts on maybe some keys throughout the sequence.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I would say, hittable, but you might have to make some pretty key decisions within the race, races. Starting with the opener, I mean, you have to decide, are you going to use Buston Bay as a horse that you rely on pretty heavily? Are you going going to try to beat this horse, so that's a decision to make pretty quickly out of the gate. I think Majestic Return, the number 16 in the following race, will be pretty tough and is the key horse to beat in there. So I would lean pretty heavily on her in the following race. I think that you could probably try to beat your favorite in Willful Desire, who's likely to take some money. Dreamaway 7, second choice on the morning line after How's Your Cash Flow scratched, but that's a race where I like Dancer Doro quite a bit. In the 7th race, Bank Frenzy, likely lean for many people, but I think that that horse is beatable as well. I'm going to try with Amadeus Music, the number 2. In the Bertram F. Bongard, you have a heavy favorite in there in El Grande O. I think Detective Tom's a little interesting. And then to close it out, I mean, the MTOs, they make a lot of sense in there, but I think Legends Can't Die getting some class relief could be a little bit intriguing towards the inside.
That's a quick look, Sarah, thank you, at the Pick 6 sequence. Over 137,000 in the pool so far. There's your favorite, Bustin Bay. A big warm-up out on the track. Second last time out behind Sweet Mystery, a horse that, while necessarily was not the winningest type, you could see in this race that Trevor McCarthy was not going to let her hang. He moved early on her, and Bustin Bay would have to come and try to run her down, which I think is what made the difference tactically in this race.
Absolutely. I mean, Sweet Mystery was handled very, very well in here to be able to open up a little bit and come make Bustin Bay come catch her, and it just didn't work out. Sweet Mystery was able to hold on as the second choice in there, and the line says second best for Bustin Bay, and I'd agree with how that race ended up playing out. Maybe she's held a little bit closer in this compact field today and makes that run that makes her successful.
Does have some tactical speed, which could be to her advantage. She's 2-5. Let's go back to Richie trackside.
Yeah, guys, listen, the 6 Bustin Bay is going to be very tough here. She makes a lot of sense on all fronts. I love the warm-up under Irad Ortiz Jr. Just aggressive, good post from the outside. Makes a lot of sense at a very short price. I'm going to the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going to pick number 3, Freddie Mo Factor, your longest price in the field. I love the way this filly warmed up. Mare, excuse me, 7-year-old mare. I just think she really appreciates mud. She's going to be forward, which I think is an advantage today, and at a big price, that's where I'm going. I'm going to take my stand with Freddie Mo Factor.
All right, Richie, 18-1, biggest price on the board. I like it. Thank you. Though Sarah is very disappointed that you don't have your bucket hat on today.
Worst thing that's happened to me all day. I was really looking forward to Richie's rain attire, and it's not here, and I'm sad.
That's okay. Maybe we'll get it back later. 2-5 on your favorite. Richie going with a long shot. 18-1, Freddie Mo Factor. The 4, Dufresne, though, while she is coming out of a turf sprint, she does actually have a win on the main track and over this course as well. Winning at Aqueduct. She's 10-1 right now because she's really not the most trustworthy type. As we're going back to December 4th, it was a nice sunny day that day. I guess towards the beginning of December at Aqueduct around Cigar Mile time. But this was on a track that was listed as muddy, obviously drier track than what she's going to face today, but it was a victory.
It was. She earned a 76 buyer for this effort. It's a race that could make her competitive in this spot, and she's a decent price right now if you like her at 10-1 at the moment. The problem is this race was for a different barn, and since then she came back in a dirt race that was against Bustin Bay. She didn't run particularly well, and then she went back to the turf, and those 3 turf races since have just not been the same types of turf races that she was running prior to that big dirt effort of hers. So I just wonder if for this barn she's tailed off a little bit overall, even though she's getting back to the dirt.
There's the 2, April Antics, wearing that hood that she always does. She got a win at a mile last time out, which was definitely the distance that she preferred. Heartbreaking defeat going too far for her to back.
Right, and you know that's a race that's very memorable when she lost at 15-1 to Ichiban, and she's a horse that has that propensity to hit the board without being a winning type, but she's very consistent, and I think the Cantermachis just have her in great form overall.
Loading in for the 4th race. Good luck if you're playing the Pick 6. We appreciate it if you are. Sequence kicks off here. John and Brielle standing by with the call.
They're in the gate for race 4 and the start of the Pick 6. And they're off. Bustin Bay goes out for the early lead. Freddie Mo Factor is right there. Moving up now is Dufresne, 3 of them across, with Temperamental and April Antics right together. The early trailer is OK Honey in 6th. As the field comes out of the chute, and moves to the main track. It's Dufresne by a neck. Buston Bay, the favorite on the outside, runs in second. Freddie Mo Factor, the gray, is down at the rail, a close-up third through a quarter in 23 and 2. April Antics has moved off the inside and is in fourth now. And gaining on the outside as OK Honey moves up down at the rail. Temperamental is the trailer in sixth. So now they are bunched up front. OK Honey looking to come through down at the rail. Inside of Freddie Mo Factor. Then comes Buston Bay. Dufresne is right there. Four of them across. April Antics continues to gain on the extreme outside. Temperamental's the trailer. Half mile, 47 seconds. And now Buston Bay has come away with the lead. Buston Bay is in front by a length. April Antics has moved into second. Then comes Temperamental, who's up into third as they come for the top of the stretch. And it is Buston Bay who has the lead. 3/4 in 1:11 and 2. Buston Bay by 2.5 lengths. April Antics is all out in second. Then Temperamental, followed by OK Honey and Freddie Mo Factor. Buston Bay is the leader. April Antics in second. It is Buston Bay holding the lead. April Antics giving chase. Buston Bay at odds of 1 to 2.
Short price favorite, a winner. If you leaned on her to kick off the pick six, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Buston Bay, just much the best in this group, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of tickets are still alive after this first race where she was a little bit more forward today, and I think it was a difference maker, but she was also a horse that was likely going to just be too good for this field. Ended up proving that way as we saw it on paper out on the racetrack, and it was kind of an interesting run race from a tactical standpoint because it didn't really seem like anybody wanted to take control of this race, and then suddenly everybody wanted to be a part of the pace all at once, but Buston Bay gets the job done.
We talked about the consistency of April Antics. She runs second, just adding another check to her resume, a horse that just always shows up and runs her race, but it was the number 6 Buston Bay, 1 to 2 favorite, getting the victory formful in race number 4 to kick off that pick 6 sequence. Buston Bay first off the claim, and while Fernando Abreu hasn't had a ton of victories with the horses he's brought up to New York, I think a lot of them have really run well, and a trainer that has brought a string up here and I think done well throughout Saratoga, and obviously continuing to do that.
Right, and a sharp claim by them. I mean, it's hard to claim off of Linda Rice, but she was well spotted here. He got Ira Ortiz Jr. to ride and gets the first win in the barn. So a great claim by him and a great job.
6-2-5-1 in the 4th. Belmont at the Big A. We'll bring you prices and more after this break. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. This son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. Now his first runners are hitting the track. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Reach for the unreachable. Race to new horizons. The artisan's quest for beauty burns in the heart of Japan, forging strength like no other, with love and honed to perfection. Noble, authentic, and only here. The legacy of strength.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm good.
JK.
Hello, Acacia. Yep. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
It's good to hear your voice.
You sound so excited. by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, check out americasbestracing.net today as we see some signs of beautiful downtown Saratoga Springs, a place that we all know and love. And you could be the lucky winner of a trip to Saratoga in 2024. You can elevate your experience. Enter to win a trip presented by ABR, Naira Bets, and My Racehorse, and some pretty fun opportunities to get involved.
Yeah, they're offering some wagering vouchers, a spending spree, and lots of good stuff going on with that.
Yeah, I love it. As we bring in, speaking of Saratoga, Jonathan Kinchin here with us. And JK, I know you love Saratoga as much as we all do, but more than anything, we really just wanted to get you on screen because we're all wearing the same shade of red. So thank you for getting the memo.
Well, look, you know, fashion's a big thing for me, and we're going to talk a little Saratoga. I figured I'd wear red, right? Red, Saratoga, they go hand in hand.
Perfectly done. I like it. But as mentioned, Saratoga, a special place. I know some big opportunities there. And we missed you before the start of the Pick 6, but hopefully you're still alive. And any thoughts if anybody wants to play some of the races coming up a little bit later?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's always important to note when you have these races that are taken off the turf, the starting point you have to kind of figure out is the MTOs and how you want to approach those horses. And also just to kind of keep an eye on the pools. There's a lot of times where horses that were meant to run on the turf, horses that have a lot of turf form, end up taking a lot of money still in these situations just from a class standpoint. So I think that these types of situations are riddled with chances to try to beat missed wagered on horses. Bustin Bay, obviously, in the last race, if most people probably singled there, you should be alive and well. And if you're not, the Pick 5 is about to come up.
Opportunity to get back involved. JK, thank you. We look forward to hearing some of your selections and thoughts throughout the day. Unfortunately, we're stepping aside, but at least we did have an opportunity, Sarah, to get all of us on camera at the same time. But Jonathan mentioned Bustin Bay, short price favorite in that fourth race, and one that was to be leaned on throughout the start of that Pick 6. First off, the claim for Fernando Abreu, and he is standing by with Richie.
Thanks, Acacia. And you guys are going to have to show me how to open these emails because I'm not getting the memos about what colors to wear. I'm just in my drab green here, but I'm dodging raindrops out here. I am thrilled to be joined by Fernando Abreu, and you're somebody I've known for a very long time. And first, let's talk about Bustin Bay. Filly you claimed, ran her right back for the same price and got the money and lost her, but pretty successful taking a horse and then winning the purse like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. It's a shame sometimes to lose them, but you know, the owners is all game for it and everything. But I think the next step for her, that 2 other than 62.5, is a little bit tough. So right now, the good thing is we lost her, but she won the race.
Fernando, I've known you for a very long time, and you were with Alan Jerkins for a number of years. Just wanted to talk a little bit about your relationship with Alan and how long you were there and some of the lessons you took away from your time with him.
It was like a father and son thing. I was 19 years with the Chief. The main thing I took away from him was the hard work. He was always there in the morning. You know, he used to come back after having dinner and feeding the horses. He always wanted to keep them happy, and especially with the fillies. He did extra good with them.
One of the things I miss most about the Chief is if I was done early, going back and pushing the feed cart, because you would glean so much wisdom from him.
I mean, there was a lot of people in line that wanted to push the feed cart just to hear the stories and everything, and even to take him to dinner, because he always had some beautiful stories and nice stories. Good horseman, great horseman.
Great horseman, and the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Now, you're going to be kind of split up. You're going to have a presence here all winter, though, and also have your division in Florida as well.
Sure, yeah. Right now I have 12 here in New York, and I'm looking to stay here year-round. And I have some in Florida, but basically more here. And I have a big owner that's Peter from Patapop that's giving me a push to claim and stay here in the game, especially in the winter.
Well, it's really great to see you down here in the Winter Stroke, get an opportunity to talk to you. And, guys, this is a name and a face people better get familiar with because he is a true horseman cut from the cloth of the giant himself, the Chief, Alan Jerkins.
And one of the nicest guys you'll meet at the racetrack, too, Fernando Abreu. Big congratulations to him. $3 winner with Buston Bay. And pretty exciting. We'll have a chance to see a bit more of a presence from him. Of course, we know his brother well in Jorge Abreu, former assistant to Chad Brown, who's now had a ton of success claiming and training here with some really top outfits in New York. And good to see both of the Abreu brothers having a good presence as a $3 winner would kick off your Pick 6 sequence.
Yeah, full start to the sequence. It gets a little bit harder from here on out, at least hopefully, in terms of if you're looking to cash a decent amount if you're playing. But luckily, most players likely still alive after that one.
We have a tepid favorite at 3-1 to the outside in the upcoming 5th race, Majestic Return, one of those main track onlys. Jonathan was touching on this 5th race off the turf as we continue on, and you have plenty of opportunity to stay involved and get involved a little bit more if you want to play the Pick 5. We'll kick off here. Majestic Return, 2nd place finish last time out, tepid favorite, as that will do it for now, at least for me and Sarah. I'll be back reporting a little bit later, but Sarah, fun sharing the desk with you as always.
Yeah, of course. I hope it doesn't rain too much for you later on.
But yes, I'll have the raincoat on to cover up the red. But like I said, at least we all had the memo now. We'll have to get Richie into the fold as far as the wardrobe for next week. But for now, we'll see what they're wearing. Greg Wolf and Andy Sterling coming up on the desk to take you the rest of the way. A lot more fun racing to come on America's Day at the races.
Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard, not for our sake, but for theirs, for the love of the horse, for generations to come.
Maximum Security proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit buyers.
Maximum Security, he smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Maximum Security.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Curlin's obviously one of the great sires today. He's currently the 2nd leading sire. He's a horse that gets Grade 1 winners, he gets champions, he gets classic winners, so he's really, you know, in a league of his own. I'm very excited about Army Mule, off to a great start at stud as well. His first crop are 3-year-olds like Good Magic, and you know, he's getting stakes winners and a very good progeny that can really run from a book that probably wasn't of the highest quality, so we think that he's a very good sire in the making. McLean's Music, top sire of Jackie's Warrior, and other Grade 1 winners. Cantharos is having a big year this year. The Charlatans are foals this year, who we're very excited about. Violence had a champion last year, or 2nd Forte in Belmont, so he's having a great year, so we've really had a great representation right across the board on really all of our stallions. Good Magic looks like he can be special. The newest horse is Loggins. So Loggins is a horse that I thought had tremendous ability. he got hurt, and you know, in his second start, he was just beating a Forte, who I think is a very good champion. And he's a great horse to look at. He's well-bred. He's got the right names in his pedigree. I know there's always a critique when horses have a limited career that you're bringing unsoundness into the gene pool, or you know, those kind of things. But you know, if a horse takes a funny step or hurts himself, for me, that doesn't demonstrate unsoundness or a genetic predisposition for unsoundness. You know, you take a funny step, you get hurt. That's bad luck more than anything. So, you know, we've had good luck with you know, horses like McLean's Music and even Candy Ride, who raced limited number of times. So, you know, we don't specifically look for horses with abbreviated careers, but I wouldn't discount those horses either because something went wrong. So it's very rewarding when they separate from their peers and they look like they're going to be very important stallions. And you know, the hope is always that you'll stand a breed shaping stallion like Curlin.
Good to be with you. Continuing live coverage on FS2, America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Our Sunday coverage feature later to come is we step in. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, Bertram F. Bongard, 2-year-olds, 7/8 of a mile coming up, and obviously El Grande O has speed. Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz, and just missed in that funny side on the front end.
Yeah, well, we saw a big upset in the colt division of this, or filly division, excuse me, earlier today. But at least in this case, El Grande O, the favorite, does have speed. Now, from a gambling standpoint, the horse was 10-1 last time, and today's going to be under 2-1. And probably has to deal with some speed from Detective Tom. But El Grande O ran well last time. He's got to get an extra furlong. I still think he's the horse to beat. My problem was, Greg, I think he's vulnerable, but I'm not exactly sure who you're supposed to pick against him, so I didn't do it because I just couldn't make a strong enough case for anybody, which means I guess sort of anyone can win unless you just think the favorite's best.
Added blinkers last time out, you know, stumbled a little bit, but was still forward, just missed. Potentially, Detective Tom, that turf speed might even be quicker than this horse.
I don't disagree. He might be quicker, and I think a lot of the success of this runner will depend on what Detective Tom does.
All right, we'll get to that to come. That's our feature in a late pick 5 that begins coming up next. It begins with a race taken off the turf. 6 furlongs on this sloppy track here in this New York bred A other than allowance, and 2-1 favorite right now to the outside. That's one of the 2 main track only runners, the 16 Majestic Return. Let's head downstairs to Richard Bigliori for more.
Yeah, thanks, Greg, and good to see you guys, or at least hear you, I should say. But the 2-horse Sandy's Gardens, where we begin down towards the inside, horse that has you know, proven form on dirt, has speed, has run well in off-going, and I think this horse will be forward. Junior Alvarado had won a race today, albeit on a very short-priced horse, and I think, but very understanding that the track is playing kind towards horses up close, if not on the lead. Horse that really caught my eye from a physical perspective is the 4 Monroe, who won at first asking, showing good speed, and then things just kind of went sideways. This horse just really kind of lost her form. But I love that she comes in here with 4 straight 5-furlong workouts. That speaks to a horse being well prepared, and she's making a nice impression here in the paddock. And this was a horse that took a ton of money on debut, and Johnny Velasquez was here to ride a stake that day. He picked that mount up, and obviously, you know, she was well meant that day, and I think she can get back to maybe what they expected from her previously. The 11, Sikkim, making a really nice impression here. Just energy level is all there. Focus is there. Very, very sharp looking here in the paddock. And then the 16 horse that's taking all the money. And I'll give Andy an opportunity to make fun of me here. I didn't see the 1 in front of the 6. And I'm going, well, the 6 horse scratch. How is the 6 horse in here? Well, it's a 16. And the 16 looks really good, so made me dig a little bit deeper. Well drawn outside. Kendrick Carmouche has been riding in such really good form and should be forward, and her form certainly matches up to what I see from a physical perspective.
Listen, I wouldn't make fun of Richie for not being able to count to 16. I would never do that.
I thought earlier he said, I won't get it. Big 5 pool, 119,000, and still time to grow as we get set for our post parade here coming up. We're 5 minutes away from a start. Accelerated post times, by the way, this afternoon.
I have no idea why, but they are accelerated.
I thought the board sort of reflects it. Pretty wide open race in here. There's 2 main track onlys, Carbon the 15, the 16 Majestic Return, but there's no standout in here.
No, I mean, the 16's the worst to beat. I took the 2 as an alternative, but they're pretty close prices in double, so I'm not sure they'll be that far apart on the board.
Sandy's Garden, we saw at Saratoga a couple times this summer, had back-to-back wins at Finger Lakes.
Got involved in a vicious duel last time. I think ran better than it looks. I think she's dangerous.
Here's Soleil, Mike Maker, Manny Franco.
They're going to take a shot and leave her in. She has handled the dirt in the past. Her recent form, she's had some trips. She's a weird horse, though.
Debuted with a win, and that was the only time she sprinted on dirt in Monroe. She's been off since May.
I thought there was a good chance she'd be a clear second choice. She's not taking any money. It's a bad sign, but her debut was good enough to compete here. I think she's crazy dangerous at this price.
Jackson Avenue, big price, 21-1.
Yeah, tough to make a case for this one based on her record.
Won her last start. That was at Finger Lakes. The 9, Robin and Eli with Katie Davis.
It's really primarily a turf horse. They're taking a shot, but they tried the dirt last time, and she did no running.
Sikkim for Jose Camejo.
She actually has run okay on the dirt at times. She's a bit of a deep closer. That may not be a running style that's flattered by this track.
And the main track onlys, here's one of them, Carbon with Javier Castellano.
Comes off a win against Lesser. She'd have to get back to her fastest races.
And Kendrick Carmouche on the favorite, Majestic Return for Michelle Giangiulio and 10 Strike Racing.
I'll be honest, I think 2-1's a very fair price on her. She was close to the pace last time. She's the worst to beat.
Decent appearance, too, from the 1 here. This Weekend Rags, who we skipped earlier on. Jorge Abreu, Dylan Davis.
She's been running on the turf, but her first 3 races in the dirt weren't that bad. She's far from out of it.
She got speed from that inside post, too.
Yeah, I don't think she has the speed that the 2 has or the 16. Those horses are pretty fast, but you're not wrong. She's not slow.
You can play all the action, including this late pick 5 that begins here by getting signed up with Naira Bets. That offer, that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. New members punch in that code, match200. At NairaBets.com. Get signed up, started. Play with us all meet long and beyond as we gear up for the Breeders' Cup in early November. Pick 5 pool, 145,000 and growing. Let's look at Sandy's Garden Majestic Return when they met this summer.
I thought it was a much better effort by Sandy's Garden May. Look, she was dueling with the heavy favorite in there. The heavy favorite is actually the horse who beat the horse who won our 3rd race today. That horse actually finished behind her, and I thought she was very game coming back. Now, to be fair, it's not as though the number 16 just sucked up from way back. She was only sitting a few lengths off the pace, so she did run a better race than Sandy's Garden. But I think the difference is not as big as the final finish makes it look. And the fact that Sandy's Garden can be forward may help her in this race. I make her the main speed. I just thought there would be a bigger discrepancy in price. And the reality is by post time, the 16 probably goes down to about 6, 7 to 5. And I think Sandy's Garden at best will be 5 to 2. I don't think that's big enough gap for me to bet Sandy's Garden. I'd rather bet the 4 at this price, and maybe she's just dead on the board, Monroe, but I don't understand why she's taking no money here, Greg, and I think you tend to agree.
I really like the appearance of the 1. 9 to 2 on that horse with Dylan Davis, who, by the way, he was very aggressive early on, but the biggest price we've had on the board today with a 22 to 1 shot. He went gate to wire. Let's go to Jonathan to see how he's going to play this pick 5.
Yeah, guys, I mean, look, the 16 Majestic Return has numbers that make this horse the horse to beat. I like the horse, the draw towards the outside. And Andy mentioned the fact this horse was involved in a fast pace and still was able to run a number that makes this horse extremely competitive against this group gives me a ton of confidence because Kendrick has options. He can be aggressive. If the pace is fast, this horse can still hold on. If the pace is slow, you'd like to think Majestic Return is going to have something left in the stretch. And when it comes to do I want my horse to be aggressively ridden? There's no one better than Kendrick Carmouche to not disappoint a horse player that wants his horse to be forward. The other horse I'll mention is the 4 Monroe. The guys were talking about a little bit. I thought Monroe, the debut was really nice, right? They came back. I thought maybe had some excuses in that second start, tried the turf, now on the dirt for the first time. So a good alternative to me. But Richie, for me, it's the 16 Majestic Return. 10 strike. It's Sunday, football day. Enjoy it.
Well, listen, there's a lot to like about Majestic Return. And like I said, you like when what you see on paper matches up to their physical appearance, and it certainly does. She's well turned out. She makes a lot of sense on paper. She's going to be forward. The 1 Weekend Rags really elevated on the racetrack to me. Love what I saw there. But my top selection is the 2 Sandy's Garden. Love what I saw there. Joe Lee, longtime assistant to Kieran McLaughlin, trains this one. I was teasing him because he calls everybody cowboy. He says that because you can't remember anybody's name. And then he was telling spelling everybody's first name. But Sandy's Garden makes a lot of sense. Speed towards the inside with a horse that has handled off-going in the past, guys.
All right, Mick, thank you. Favorite now down to 9-5. Majestic returning from that outside post, the main track only, with Kendrick Carmouche.
I like Sandy's Garden as well in this race, and I make these picks early, so you live with them. But I never thought she'd be as short as 5-2, and I'd really rather bet Monroe at 8-1. So I bet a little bit on Monroe to win, and played in exactas with both the 2 and the 16. Nothing clever.
All right, we're set for the late pick 5 coming up. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
There in the gate. A couple of horses have broken through the starting gate. We'll have a delay.
All right, so a couple of horses, not just this one, break through the gate. So we're going to have a delay here. That's Carbon, one of the main track onlys.
Has Carbon done this before? I don't know. It's a lonely trip back, Greg. Who was the other one that broke through? I know Johnny said something. Oh, the 11? Is that the 11 also came through? Thank you.
All right, so Sikkim. We did not get quite this far away, already back behind the gate, as you see. And Carbon making her way back there now with Javier Castellano. Everyone else waiting.
Didn't seem like, I mean, I'll take a look at him, but it didn't seem like anything really happened there.
So going to load this one right back up, and it looks like Carbon as well. Let's go back to John Imbrial.
Carbon now goes back in. And we are just about, once again, ready for the start. And they're off. And it is Sikkim, and on the outside, Majestic Return. Majestic Return, hustle to the front. Then comes Sikkim and Carbon, and down at the rail is a Weekend Rags. Majestic Return leads here by almost 2 lengths. Steadying there in mid-pack was Sikkim. On the outside is Carbon. Down at the rail is Weekend Rag. So those two are second and third. With Solib next in fourth. Sandy's Garden alongside in fifth. Robin and Eli is in sixth. Sikkim is now back in seventh. And at the back of the pack are Monroe and Jackson Avenue. And they're all chasing the favorite, Majestic Return, who leads through a quarter in 22 and 2/5 seconds. Majestic Return by 2 lengths. Weekend Rags second by a head. Sandy's Garden on the outside runs in third with Solib in fourth. Half mile in 45 and 3. Majestic Return is the leader, and the lead is 3 lengths. Then Weekend Rags along with Sandy's Garden, followed by Solib, and then Sikkim. Majestic Return opens up here in deep stretch, and it will be Majestic Return who sloshes home here to win by about 7 lengths. Solib came on to complete the exacta.
Majestic Return, Kendrick Carmouche, aggressive early on. Michelle Giangiulio, 10 strike. And the second win for this 3-year-old filly.
Yeah, the dynamics of this race were completely changed at the beginning when the number 2 blew the brake. And when you have a horse who's going to be the clear speed, like the number 2 Sandy's Garden, and she blows the brake, she just has no chance. And when you're the stalking speed with the number 16, that happens, basically the race falls in your lap. Now, she probably would have won anyway, considering she won by the length of the stretch in this race. But the race really did change, and Sandy's Garden actually did reasonably well to finish, I think, 4th, unless she just completely fell apart in the late stages and lost the 4th spot. But this was probably the best horse here. Yeah, she did fall apart in late stages, but it was made a lot easier when the number 2 got left. But 3-2 gets the money. The front end, not a bad place to be. Solib got up for second down in the inside. I think the board lets you know that the number 4 Monroe just can't really run, though Irad did completely steady her out on the backstretch. She probably got in tight between horses.
3-2 favorite starts this late pick 5 on a wet track on this Sunday card. Kendrick Carmouche, Michelle Giangiulio, 16-3-1-11. We're going to take a timeout when we come back. Grade 1 win for Saudi Crown after that duel with Forte and the Jim Dandy. We'll take a look back and see what's in his immediate future when we return.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you where you can play it all at NYRA Bets. Go to NYRABets.com, get signed up, started our late pick 5 underway on the Sunday card with the favorite, Kendrick Carmouche for Michelle Giangulio in that gold and purple, a 10-strike, majestic return. Got to the front, got a little lucky.
But she was
solid. Break, but was way the best.
I mean, I mean, what really the point of the two is the race dynamics just completely changed in here. But this horse was probably, in all likelihood, going to win anyway. And Kendrick is very quietly, or not even that quietly, been having a great meet so far.
He is indeed. Let's head downstairs. He's with Mig.
Thanks, Greg. And yeah, Kendrick, guys up on the desk are talking just how good you're riding, and obviously I agree. You're doing everything right. Being aggressive when you need to be, but also being patient when you need to be. Now today it looks like speed's really good. You break from the far outside with a horse that has some speed, but the other speed got left. How quick are you aware that the two Sandy's Garden didn't break?
You heard them. First couple jumps, you heard the guys inside, hey, 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 and you know, my instinct is to drop over right away. You know, take whatever they thinking out of the question of what they want to do. So I just dropped over to the 3-pad right away, you know, throw some dirt on them, make sure, you know, might get them back a little bit further than what you want them. And, you know, that filly, she was set to win this race, you know, main track only. She went in a slop here, broke her maiden. I figured a slop again today, she can make me look good again.
Well, very similar conditions, the way she won last time, impressively as well.
Yeah, I mean, nothing different, you know. She broke through the gate a little bit. A couple horses got all jittery in the gate, but, you know, I know that's a big kiss of death when you see a gate open up, but maybe I can make the difference with a little Cajun, little mojo on him, you know.
A little Cajun magic, huh? Yeah. One thing I get a big kick out of it, Kendrick, is your interaction with the fans on the way back. You are truly a fan favorite. Can you talk about your relationship with the fans a little?
You know, without them, we wouldn't be in this industry. You know, we need those people cheering on us. I try to make them feel like they part of the sport as much as they are, you know. That's me. I just want to see everybody happy. You know, I have some people beat me up when they lose in the grandstand, but I'm sure enough the next day they're happy with me and we go from there. But, you know, just make these people happy. You know, they love horse racing. They love jockeys. They love everything about it. So if they love that much about it, that makes me, even more happy that, you know, to see that, you know, because I was born in it. This is what I love. This is my sport.
Well, it shines through your ability, and just keep up the good work. It's fun watching you ride.
Thank you, baby. Louisiana in the house, baby. Yes, sir.
That's it.
Bayou Strong, Kendrick Carmouche. We always love to see him in the winner's circle. Such a great character, and really has taken his game these last few years to the next level.
No, I agree. And, you know, as I've said to Kendrick, it annoys me when people sort of pigeonhole him as some sort of good speed rider, because he's just a good rider. And I think his riding on the turf so far this meet has really exemplified how well-rounded he is as a rider. He understands the value of speed on his speed horse, but he's not one of these one-dimensional riders by any stretch of the emotion. Stretch of, not the emotion, I'm just completely
imagination.
Imagination. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate
I've
that.
been there.
Yeah, but you know, he's riding great, and it's good to see. And you know, he talks about the fans and fans being tough. The fans in New York, they love the riders, and they love to give them a hard time, but in a positive way. And a lot of them, the Jamaicans. The Jamaicans are a great part of racing in New York and have been for a long, long time, and great fans of horse racing, and they know the game. So when they're giving it to you a little bit, they're often not that wrong, but they're also appreciative of good riders. They love Richie.
Only in New York too. We take the train out here, and there's a diversion right now, so we have to. The line stops. We have to take the bus. Great conversation that was happening right behind me on the riding colony here in New York as I was taking the bus in. It was fun. It was fun to listen to.
That's great.
Kendrick, he's right in that conversation. He's one of the top riders here, and part of the reason why this is the toughest jockey colony there is in this sport. Pick 6 carryover today, and we're 2 legs in. Form full so far. We got plenty of time for things to happen, though, with 4 legs still remaining. Going to be saying goodbye to those watching on SNY. Going to bring in a new audience regionally out in Southern California, but our coverage on FS2 continues after this slight pause as well, which we'll get into this late pick 4 to come, and the Bertram F. Bongard still ahead. That it's not just about El Grande O. That is still coming up in our 8th. More to come. Welcome to those just joining us on Bally Sports SoCal, San Diego. Those already with us on FS2. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Late pick 4 coming up on a wet Sunday afternoon. Rain has stopped, but we do have a sloppy track off the turf today. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper. Andy Serling, our feature today. 2-year-olds Bertram F. Bongard. El Grande O added blinkers last time out. Was very quick. Came up just a little short.
And these horses are working their way up to the big race in New York Bred Showcase Day. We saw the fillies earlier. They're going to May the Mist. These horses prepping for the Sleepy Hollow. They'll have to stretch out to a mile, and El Grande O has to show that he can stretch his speed to 7 furlongs. And he probably has to do it dealing with speed from Detective Tom, who broke his maiden in the turf, but has enough pedigree to suggest he can handle the dirt as well. He ran a big figure, an 86 buyer is a very big number for these horses, and he runs back to that number. They're not going to beat him, but there are reasons to believe that he may not run as well today, and last time was 10-1. Today he's going to be under 2-1.
Yeah, that's still to come. So we'll look ahead to that. We are going to talk this as we're getting late in the year. This 3-year-old picture now. It's getting very interesting as we work our way to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and a horse for Brad Cox who made his 4th career start in the Jim Dandy. He ran so good Saudi Crown, but he didn't want to push him to a 1.25 miles on the Travers. Opted for this spot instead, and it pays off.
He's very, very good, and, you know, people are, already saying he can't get the 1.25 miles. Well, he can get it. It's just a question of getting it fast enough. He's had a very quick pace in this race and just buried the horses that tried to stay close to him. A terrific performance by the 2nd-place finisher, a horse who just got beaten in our Wood Memorial going in for Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher. And I said to Irad, it looked like you were going to get it done here and beat Saudi Crown, but Saudi Crown did all the running in here, and it's going to be very hard for him to win the Eclipse. He would absolutely have to win the Breeders' Cup Classic to have any chance to get it. And it's not a long list of horses that could get it. I suppose Mage could get it if he won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Obviously, right now, Archangel is a deserving leader. But forgetting about awards, I don't know how anybody can argue that he's not shown to be as talented as any 3-year-old we've seen this year. He is very good.
He's very good. He's very fast. Got to do it, obviously, on the front end in this spot. We'll see if he's in a test and there's someone who can go with him early, what kind of horse he is. but obviously he has loads of talent.
Or what kind of horse they are.
Yeah.
Because woe to the horse that wants to go with him, and it does bring up an interesting question, right? Arabian Night and Saudi Crown, if they hook up in the Breeders' Cup Classic, something's got to give, because when we get to the point when you're rating speed horses in the Breeders' Cup Classic, I think you almost have to just give it up. I mean, they're two one-way speed types. They've got to go.
Look at this list of talented 3-year-olds. So many strong horses that can make a major impact in the Classic this year.
Yeah, Tapit Trice, I was on a call this morning. He's done for the year. I was reading an article Dave Grenning of the Daily Race Form wrote about Todd Pletcher's horses, and he said Tapit Trice is done for the year. I had stayed with a charge it. But still, there are some decent 3-year-olds out there. And the thing I like about it in the numbers is I think there's a reasonable chance we'll see a bunch of these horses coming back next year. Because one of the reasons that the handicapper, the older horse division, has been so weak is that anybody who could run, you know, is either on the sidelines like Taba or got retired. So it just left us with a dearth of the best horse from last year. Let's hope a bunch of these horses stay around for next year. It just makes the game so much more fun.
Got the West Coast contingent as well. Arabian Night, Go Rocket Ride.
Yeah, I mean, there's even less good older horses on the West Coast than there are here. I mean, you look at that Pacific Classic and how the 3-year-olds dominated in there. At least here, we had White Abario. He's out there now. And we saw Bright Future run so well and Proxy and horses like that. But it's the 3-year-olds have definitely overshadowed the older horses this year.
Going to be a fun lead up to the Breeders' Cup Classic in this division where it looks like 3-year-olds have a very strong hand. We're going to take a timeout. Late Pick 4 is coming up. Sequence kicks off with a 6-furlong sprint, $40,000 claiming race. Wide open group, one of many contenders, the 5 Dancer Doro. Jose Ortiz will be aboard this one. We'll be back.
Curlin was the leading sire of Grade 1 winners in 2021 with 5 and 2022 with 6. In 2023, Curlin is the leading sire of Grade 1 winners with 5.
Big race. Nest Clariere is too far back. A 16th to run, and Idiomatic has a 2-length lead. Nest is fully extended.
This is what winning looks like.
A huge performance all the way.
Curlin,
the personal
the classic sire.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights, like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. Start earning your $200 sign-up bonus when you sign up with offer code GET200.
And Echo Zulu puts her away. Echo Zulu, most impressive in the ballerina. And Gunite is maintaining the lead, and he will defeat Elite Power in the Forego.
Gunrunner, breed true.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Regional networks out in Southern California. Late Pick 4 next on our schedule here. The 6th race, $40,000 claiming 6-furlong sprint. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Little Strange, who we're seeing as our top choice on the board right now. It's this one. Dancer Doro, the 5, who moves turf to dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close between the 4, 5, 7, and 8 in doubles, but she is the 4th choice in doubles. I was looking at the win pool. It feels like 1 or 2 per people must have bet about 4,000 or 5,000 to win on her because it skewed the pools to make her the favorite. We'll see how long this lasts.
Has been in the money in 4 of the 4 tries on an off track with a win. Let's head downstairs to Richard Migliore for more.
Thanks, Craig. And obviously, guys, this is a very competitive race, but looking at horses from a physical perspective, 3 really caught my eye, starting with the 4, Vax. She makes a lot of sense on paper. She's versatile. She's handled off-going. She can be forward. Just her coat could not be any better. You know, this is the time of year you start to see horses where their coats might be changing. They'll start growing longer hair in preparation for winter. And Vax just looks like a horse that's coming into the prime of the summer. She's really rich, hydrated coat, making a nice impression. The 7, Willful Desire, is extra sharp here in the paddock. So sharp, as a matter of fact, she kind of jumped up in the air and came and said hello to me. And I've been stepped on enough in my life, but she was just, I guess, being friendly. But boy, she is sharp, on her toes, really kind of checking all the boxes. Could not look better here for trainer David Jacobson. And the 8-horse Dream Away 7. This really stretched out, hasn't been seen since July, but I think she's truly a sprinter type. Looking at her from a physical perspective, she's well drawn outside. She looks fit. She looks sharp. She's never run on an off racetrack, but she is by Always Dreaming. Well, Always Dreaming won the Kentucky Derby in off-going, and Saudi Crown yesterday looked awful good in the Pennsylvania Derby, being by Always Dreaming, his best off spring to date. I think she'll handle it just fine, and I expect her to be forward, and I want to be forward today, guys. You know, if I was riding, everything I was on, I try to put in the game.
Yeah, it really looks like that has been the place to be this afternoon on this sloppy racetrack.
I agree, and one of the winners was a big long shot, so it's not just that we've seen mostly short prices. So I think you can back that up. It does feel, with the scratch of the 1, how's your cash flow, that with the right ride, the number 7, Willful Desire, could be loose here. She's a little bit chilly on the board, though, isn't she?
Yeah, 5-1. Isaac Castillo, fairly new to this circuit. Well, very new to this circuit for David Jacobson. He'll be on board this afternoon. Has not performed particularly well in the past on off tracks, but at different tracks, but no 2 off tracks are alike.
And if she can get to the front, it's not supposed to matter as much. But maybe that's part of the reason. You're right. She has not run well on wet tracks. And I wonder if that's a pretty good point, Greg. We should also mention the 6, Perfect Senorita, who's coming off a bit of a layoff, a 4-month layoff. She has got 2 bar shoes on today.
And she is at 9-1 right now. She's been off since May. We'll kick off with the filly who inherits the Royal with a scratch of the 1. Here's Luna Loca.
She would be a tough one. I'm surprised she's only 8-1 in this race, claimed off of Linda Rice in her last start and moving up.
She's, wow, taking money, yeah,
right?
Considering that. I thought I was going to go all, but maybe Luna Loca. The 3, Shazi, David Donk.
Going to use her. Coming off a layoff for Dave Donk. She could have to improve. Maybe she will off the layoff.
Vax at 5-2 went by, and here's still the favorite, Dancer Doro.
Yeah, listen, she's a horse that could clearly win it, and she is going to go up in odds. I preferred others, but she's good enough to win. She's an underlay right now.
One with the bar shoes on. You mentioned the 6, Perfect Senorita.
Listen, she's a long shot. You can take a shot with her. I get it. The bar shoes are a little bit of a concern.
Isaac Castillo, we mentioned on Willful Desire. And then Dream Away 7, the favorite.
I like Dream Away 7, but I'm a little worried that she could be pace compromised near. But I think you can count on Trevor to at least try to get her in the game. He's usually attuned to the racetrack.
Yeah, sorry, a 9-2 on the 8, Dream Away 7-1. First time out sprinting, is going to cut back in distance. Late pick 4 coming up. Let's check in with Jonathan Kinchin.
Yeah, guys, I landed on the 4, Vax as well. This is a horse who Mike Maker ran for 40. Linda Rice claimed from him for 40. She dangled down for 16, got the win, and then Mike Maker took the horse back. And if you look at some of the races that this horse ran for Maker, you'd like to think that we can see some of those performances again. He knows the horse. He knows what the horse likes in the morning, and has a pretty big opinion about a lot of things surrounding this horse. And so for me, it just feels like Vax is going to kind of run back to some of those big numbers, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. And look, the other part about it is this horse has some tactical speed, should be able to stay close on a racetrack where I think being close is definitely something that you want to have happen. You want to be in the mix. You want to be as close as possible. And then it sounds like Richie's interested in this horse who took a lot of money, a horse that surprised me as well, who has some back numbers, the 5, Dancer D'Oro.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan, I'm not going to pick her, but I would be remiss not to talk about her. I mean, she has compiled a nice record in off-going, 4 starts on it, a win, 2 seconds, and a third, and she looks terrific from a physical perspective. You know, Bill Murray is a terrific horseman. He's winning at better than 26% on the year. He's been a welcome addition to the New York scene, and she looks great. I prefer the 7, Willful Desire, because I do think this horse is going to be forward and potentially on the lead. I like speed today. She was ultra sharp in the paddock. You get Isaac Castillo, who is yet to win a race here, but it's a rider we got very familiar with watching him at Oaklawn, a good rider. He's riding a lot for David Jacobson. I was talking with David Jacobson in the paddock, and he said, only instructions he gave was speed is good. So kind of that gives a rider a green light, or basically leads them to showing more speed. And then the 8, Dream Away 7, I liked her in the paddock, continued to like her on the track. And you have to think with her pedigree, with being by Always Dreaming, even though she's never run on an off-race track, that she should handle it. Let's see how it shakes out. But I think Willful Desire has a chance, potentially, to lead them on a merry chase.
All right, Mig, we'll see if that happens here with a 7, 9-2 as we see Trevor McCarthy getting situated there in the saddle on Dreamaway 7.
Yeah, I picked the 8 in the outside. I hope Trevor can keep her closer. I think the public is scared with the 7 of the bad record on wet tracks. I thought the race was, I mean, this is not a clever opinion, between the 4, 5, 7, and 8. And to me, I just rather take the 2 that are the biggest prices in there. So I used the 7 and 8 in a small pick 4 play for some action. Just looking for slightly better prices. I know Vax likes a wet track. I hate the race she's coming out of.
That money has not left the 5, Dancer Doro, who was 9-2 morning line.
Yeah, she seems like a bit of an underlay at the 2-1 range, but obviously now she's 5-2. She can obviously win here. I'm not. To me, it's very hard to have a strong opinion here.
John Imbrial, the call. At the start of this late pick 4, race 6 from Belmont at the Big A.
Race 6, Belmont at the Big A. And they're off. Dansu Adoro and Dream Away 7. Dream Away 7 goes on with it and is in front. Then comes Willful Desire and Dansu Adoro right together, 2nd and 3rd. Vax is next in 4th, followed by Perfect Senorita. Then Chassis and Luna Loca is the trailer in 7th. The battle up front, Dream Away 7 down at the rail, and in between horses, Dansu Adoro, and on the outside, Willful Desire. 3 of them across through a quarter in 22 and 3. The front 3 have opened up 3.5 lengths on Vax, who sits in 4th, followed by Perfect Senorita, then Luna Loca and Chassis. Willful Desire on the outside with a head in front now. Dream Away 7 is down at the rail. Dansu Adoro in between in the green blinkers as the field comes into the stretch now with, going down there at the back. Going down was number 6, Perfect Senorita. Willful Desire is the leader here. Then Dansu Adoro, Dream Away 7, and Vax. They come on for the finish, and it will be Willful Desire.
Willful Desire, Isaac Castillo, 9-2 here for David Jacobson, as you heard from John Imbrial in that call. Perfect Sounds the 6 with Dalton Brown, a spill early in this stretch. We'll try and get you an update when we come back from this timeout. 6th at Belmont at the Big A in the books. We'll be back.
Times have changed, but some things remain timeless. Hard work, perseverance, unwavering dedication. From sun up to sundown, our passion fuels us to drive further and push harder. We do it for the horses, for our families, and for the sport we all love. For well over a century, we've committed to doing the usual, unusually well. Claiborne Farm, the tradition continues.
The Fasig-Tipton Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearling Sale, offering a catalog of yearlings from many of the sport's most lucrative state-bred programs. Among the nation's richest sources of stakes caliber horses, graduates of this sale have won or placed in over 200 stakes races in just the past 2 years alone. Recent stars include Leave No Trace, winner of the Spinaway Stakes, and runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Mid-Atlantic Fall Yearlings, Monday and Tuesday, October 2nd and 3rd in Timonium, Maryland. Where will you be?
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off.
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Consistently versatile with 25 Grade 1 winners on every surface from 6 furlongs to 1 1/4 miles all over the world.
Switzerland in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. Switzerland wins.
Churls Fight running on. Mason in front. Churls Fight on the outside. At the wire. Photo for the win.
Prince of Monaco's too good. An impressive winner of the best pal.
All purpose, all places, all power. Speightstown.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Bold Ruler along the inside in second position.
Here they come, spinning out of the turn. Secretariat now by 5 lengths.
Few horses have stood in esteemed stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm, and all of them champions, legends of the sport.
And down the stretch they come. Unbridled takes command.
Who influenced the generations that followed. Today, stall number 1 belongs to Run Happy, who is looking to create champions in the generations to come.
Bold Ruler, Secretariat, Easy Goer, Unbridled, and then Run Happy. Each of those horses were North American champions at one point in their careers.
All in line, and they're off.
Secretariat by 7. Secretariat 8 lengths.
Fente just hand-riding onto the wire. He takes this to Travers by 2.5 lengths.
You got to basically be a champion to live in that stall, and certainly Run Happy was. Whoever's after Run Happy will have to make sure he was a champion as well. Hopefully Run Happy will be able to keep his name on the door and add to the list of great horses that live in that stall.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. Willful Desire, Isaac Castillo, just started riding in the States back in December 2016, his big breakout year. We've seen him the last couple of seasons have great winner in Springs at Oaklawn, but 2021, I should say, was his big breakout year. We believe his first win in New York.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Nice to see him get the win and got good position the outside. The others, you know, Trevor was aggressive with the 8, and I like that kind of ride. It just didn't work out, but it's not Trevor's fault. Did what he thought was right. But this horse got the right trip in the outside, and she was much the best.
$11.20 for the win. We did have a spill in the race. Let's head downstairs to Mig for an update.
Yeah, Greg, unfortunately, the 6-horse Perfect Senorita did suffer a catastrophic injury and was humanely euthanized. Her rider, Dalton Brown, is being transported directly to Jamaica Hospital. He was loaded onto a flatboard. Very important to try to keep the riders as still and stable as possible. And we'll get an update on him when we hear further, but he is being transported directly to Jamaica Hospital.
All right, well, we hope the best for Dalton Brown. And obviously sad news there with Perfect Senorita as we take a look at halfway through this carryover. Willful Desire $11.20. And we'll move on to the 7th. Mile and an eighth. Going to stretch out 2 turns here in this New York bred entry level allowance race coming up, where certainly Jacksonites Bank Frenzy, they were going to attract a lot of attention in this race. Is it more wide open than just those 2?
Well, yeah, the 2 Amadeus Music I think is dangerous in here. I don't know why they're betting on Marty. Maybe a lot of Marty's betting today. Frankly, I'm not a big fan of Jacksonites, especially this horse has to come from the clouds. I thought that the 8 would be an overwhelming favorite in this race. Probably will be by post time.
Does got to prove himself at a mile and an eighth. First time going beyond a mile, but he has some big figures and has a Rat Ortiz Jr. as well.
And the 7's favored in doubles. Not in pick 3s, though. The 8 is half the price in pick 3s, but is a slight second choice in doubles. Strange.
7th race, 17 minutes away. We'll get a paddock report post-parade when we come back with our FS2 coverage right after this.
Respect the law. He's earned it. A Grade 1 winning juvenile.
'Tis the law, pops the cork in the champagne.
A classic winning 3-year-old.
Tis the law is gonna win the first leg of the Triple Crown.
5 triple-digit buyers.
Respect the law, 'tis the law.
The best son of Red Hot Sire Constitution.
He's left the others behind. He's gonna win the Run Happy Travers.
'Tis the law.
At Keeneland, a horse will always be measured in hands. Hands that see, that sense, that speak. Hands that hold our sport to a higher standard. Not for our sake, but for theirs. For the love of the horse, for generations to come.
Central Banker is a Grade 2 winner whose well-balanced good looks helped him attract full books every year since he launched his career at McMahon Thoroughbreds of Saratoga in 2018. Now that his runners have proven themselves on the track, breeders are beating a path to his court.
Breeders gravitate towards consistency and a sure bet. It's an uncertain world out there. And, you know, Central Banker in our regional program and even in abroad has really helped breeders find sure footing.
Central Banker progeny have earned more than $18 million. That includes Bank Sting, who was named champion New York bred Older Mare and champion sprinter of 2022. She retired with earnings of $664,000. McMahon of Saratoga's Central Banker stamps all his progeny.
Every single Central Banker foal comes out very well balanced, medium big size with good bone. They train easy. They are not too wild as youngsters, just wild enough as 2-year-olds.
And a horse horse who's favored right now is a son of Central Banker. That's Bank Frenzy, and this one coming up. For more on the New York Thoroughbred breeding and development fun, you can go to nybreds.com. Well, for the Davis family, riding is in their blood. Dad Robbie went over 3,300 races in his career, and despite doing his best to talk his daughters out of following in his footsteps, once he heard what they could do in the saddle, he had no choice but to be supportive. Now his biggest challenge, who to root for, his daughters Jackie or Katie, or his son Dylan.
So happy. Take care of this old man. You had to have a very understanding woman that is behind you and will support you 110%. And I prayed, God, please, there's got to be one out there. And she was at the roller skating rink. She said she climbed the tree in 1973 and watched Secretariat win in her backyard at the quarter pole at Belmont. I was like, wow, you climbed a tree? We got married and we had 2 little girls. And I said, I don't care if you have a dozen. We had 3 boys and 3 girls.
I have an older sister with 3 lovely little girls, and my sister Jackie that rides here at Finger Lakes. I have a brother, Robbie Jr., and then Eddie that is working for Billy Mott right now. Then it's me, and then my little brother Dylan. Big family.
I'm the oldest of everybody that's on the track.
The younger daughter says, wow, she can do it, I can do it, I know I can.
I'm the youngest in the family. I was second one. It was a pretty easy choice, because knowing that Dad rode, and I had my own little personal coach to teach me along the way.
My dad wasn't exactly thrilled about me being racing.
Jackie, you're 99 to 1. You'll never make it. You're this big.
So he was really, really hard on me.
She went to McCarran's jockey school. I said, Chris, look, you know, it's just a whim she's on. You know, she'll fall off once or twice. And then, so he calls me at Christmas, says, Rob, she's good. She's really good. I said, Chris, come on. He's like, no, Rob, she can ride. I'm going, oh, brother.
We're very competitive, so we tease a lot.
There was bragging rights, you know, and sometimes some people don't take it better than others.
All of us have ridden in a race before, and I've won most of them.
We will do anything to beat each other for any position we're in. It doesn't matter if it's last.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know who to root for, you know? I'm just like, get across there and say, the winning is everything.
If I can't win the race, I want to beat my siblings.
It's kind of like they're in the backyard, but they just moved over here. And this is their backyard.
I look over, I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. Like, I never thought that we would actually be here together, you know, enjoying the moment.
We want to beat each other, but we want to see each other do well.
It's always tough competition when we're out there, and we have a lot of fun.
They are having a great time. They are absolutely love every bit of what they're doing. They absolutely love it.
I think my dad is proud.
To be able to follow in his footsteps, he's really proud. He kind of paved the way for us, and he knows that we love doing this sport.
It's beyond proud. It's just beyond it. They have outshined me and everything that I ever dreamed of. It's grateful, you know, I'm grateful.
Really cool story to see these 3 siblings and Katie's husband on this circuit all competing against each other. Jackie's going to be on the 1 boys code, Katie Davis on Octalibre the 6, and then Dylan will be on the 7, Jackson Heights.
I saw Katie earlier, actually. She was doing her other job, actually. I ran into her at the racetrack with the baby, actually. It's kind of nice to see her, though. It's always nice to see Katie. Always brightens up your day.
And, you know, Jackie, by the way.
Love Jackie.
Wants your job pretty soon. Or maybe Mig's job.
Really? It's yours, Jackie. Come on up.
9 minutes away from this 7th. Back with us, Acacia Clement.
And just trying to keep the iPad dry out here, Craig, but we'll take a look at Jackson Heights, a horse that does come out of the Albany, and one that, yes, he was picking up the pieces late, but he and Drake's Passage were the two horses in that race that were the most convincing at the 9 furlong distance. And we did see Mariachi come out of that race and cutting back to a sprint, which is what he wants to do, and winning quite impressively the other day. Now, as we're going the mile and an eighth again today, I think that that's the perfect distance for this guy. He's usually one that's very quiet and laid back in the paddock, and he's a little bit brighter today, which I do appreciate. The thing with him, though, on the track that we've seen today is that he just is one that always takes himself very far out of the race. He looks tremendous once again. I think this is a great spot for him. I just am a bit concerned given the way the race dynamics could potentially play out in his running style and just how far back he usually is and if he's going to be able to make up ground on this track. The number 8, Bank Frenzy, is stretching out, and I don't really have a problem with it. He's a horse that I've always felt wanted to go a bit longer. Now, I wasn't in the paddock for his last race, but I remember Maggie Wolfendale saying, you can see it on the replay, that he added an extension blinker last time out. The right eye was fully covered. 2 starts back in the New York Stallion Series when he just missed, he was wearing the regular Short Cup cheater type blinkers that he's wearing today. So they've been kind of fooling around with equipment, and typically you'll see an extension blinker go on a horse that has the tendency to lug out or to drift out pretty significantly, and it can help them to keep a straight course given that they can't see anything to their outside. That blinker comes right back off, as this is a horse that was a little bit hesitant at the start last time, and I noticed throughout the running of the race, Irad Ortiz was very keen to keep him off the rail and keep him outside of horses. So maybe it's just the way that this horse runs more than anything. So being drawn to the outside, I think, is an advantage for him. He's incredibly fit, he's well conditioned. We'll see how he handles a little bit more distance and back to those Short Cup blinkers that he was previously wearing. The distance is a bit of a question for the 4, Uncle Marty, as well, by Uncle Mo, and coming off of a win for 40,000 last time in an off-the-turf race. And he was one of the main track onlys in that field. Stumbled at the start, but he did actually close wide in a nice, impressive win that day. The question is, how does that race stack up? And I'm not really sold that he gets better with more distance. He's a little bit more compact, a little bit more shorter coupled, kind of a handier type of frame. And so the stretch out to the mile and an eighth, as good as the barn is going, is a concern for me. Greg?
All right, Acacia, good to have you back. 6 minutes away from the 7th race, as we see Dylan Davis there to greet the ownership group of Jackson Heights with the 7. The 3, there's Katie coming out onto the track. She'll be in the 6, Octa Libre, and then their sister, Jackie, on Boys Code. Will break from the rail, 16-1 on Boys Code.
It's like an infestation of Davises in this race, isn't it? Wait, who's
3
who's
of the
Katie
8.
riding? Who's Katie riding?
She's on the 6.
Oh, okay. She picked that mount up. I originally had Trevor.
Well, the favorite they all got to beat, at least on the board, is Bank Frenzy, this one here.
He is the horse to beat. I think they're overdoing it a little bit at 6-5, but that happens with basically every IRAD horse. And if he runs back to his last race and able to negotiate a mile and eighth, even the race 2 back, he's probably too fast for these horses, but I think IRAD's going to have to be a bit aggressive with him early to get that position going in the first turn, else he kind of gets spun out wide, and he has the speed to get there. Probably the speed is the number 3 horse if you're looking for the horse that should be in front. I don't have any problem these horses to beat. I just didn't want to take a short price on him, which is why I picked Amadeus Music, who I thought ran actually very well last time. Now, whether or not he can bring that Finger Lakes for him here is a question, but he has run big figures in New York before, or decent figures.
Yeah, he got a big figure for that win. He was much the best against that group at Finger Lakes, as you mentioned, 11-length winner. Talking about the 2, Amadeus Music. But there's your favorite, Irad Ortiz Jr., ready to get a leg up here in a moment from that outside post. A 6-5 favorite. It's tough to make anyone that kind of number in this field. The distance really is a question mark for everybody in this field.
I agree.
Here is Jackie Davis on Boys Code.
Boys Code got a decent enough figure, actually finishing behind Bank Frenzy last time, but would really have to make up a lot of ground, but has the right post to do it.
Career best effort last time out for Amadeus Music.
He blew the break, was about a length and a half slow, was 5 wide in the first turn, 4 wide in the second turn, ran very well. If he can duplicate that in New York, He's one of the main players.
Here's Waldo with Javier Castellano.
He's going to be in front for a trainer that is 0 for 49 over the last year, about 16 months of racing in New York.
State Bred Maiden 40 win for Uncle Marty, a race that was taken off the turf, 5-1.
You were telling me that the Thoroughgraphs have the race faster. Timeform US and Bayer have the race way too slow to compete.
Supreme Being, big price went by, and here's Octa Libre Katie Davis.
Yeah, another horse that would have to improve, but does have a win at a mile and 1/16th. I'll beat it, Finger Lakes.
Her brother Dylan next door on Jackson Heights for Orlando Nota.
Was he kind of picking up pieces as the race was collapsing last time? I think so, but the race came up fast enough that he has to be considered a player, and the distance shouldn't be a problem.
And the 3-2 favorite, Arad Ortiz Jr. for Lisa Lewis, Bank Frenzy.
If he handles the distance, I think you'll agree he's the horse to beat. But that's always a big question, especially when you're dealing with the favorite.
All right, we're 3 minutes away from the 7th here coming up. 10% trifecta bonus. You can earn it today just by playing with Naira Bets. Bet the races Belmont of the Big 8. Get that 10% bonus on your trifecta winnings. You got to opt in, though, to take advantage on the website at nairabets.com. 2 turns, mile and an eighth coming up on the sloppy track. Jonathan Kinchin, where are you going to wind up?
I'm going to go with the 4 Uncle Marty. Look, I understand from a figure standpoint why the 8 Bank Frenzy is taking so much money, but from a style standpoint, wanting to come from out of it on a racetrack that's been friendly to speed, racetracks that have moisture in them, the sloppy racetracks, they often are beneficial to horses that find themselves forwardly placed. So I'm going to try to beat Bank Frenzy here, and I'm going to land on the 4 Uncle Marty, like I mentioned. This horse was involved in a pretty quick pace last time up at Saratoga in that kind of 1.5 turn mile that we have here in Saratoga, because I'm in Saratoga. But this horse just feels like could take advantage of the pace scenario, could pop away from there with Jose Ortiz. Ran well last time, being a part of an honest pace, and you're going to just get a much better number on the 4 Uncle Marty, who's going to have been where the 8 Bank Frenzy needs to go. Our friend Richie Migliore always talks about that in terms of horses that are forwardly placed. And that's why I like Uncle Marty here. But I am curious to hear, Acacia's got a couple of thoughts. I think she's going to start with the 2. I don't know what that means. I know you probably know what it means, but I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Amadeus Music, I'm guessing it's for Amadeus Mozart. I don't exactly know the full details behind this horse, Jonathan, but I know that he's a horse that could potentially be a player in here. Off slow last time at Finger Lakes and was just wide throughout. I mean, this horse, I know that he won by 11 lengths, but he was an hour the best given the type of trip that he had last time out. And the rider always seemed to be very confident with him. He was widest of all early, 4 wide on the turn, then took over and just kept pulling away. He's a horse that has come along since I've last seen him. He's done well being with Horacio de Paz. Sometimes from race to race, his coat would get a little bit drier. He'd get a little bit drawn up. He looks great on track today. I have no problems with him, and I really don't mind the distance, especially given the fact that he won at the 1.70 yards at Finger Lakes last time out. I wanted to touch on the 5, Supreme Being. He is not really fast enough at all on paper, but he's a horse that just caught my eye. I don't know if he's necessarily a win candidate in here, but he warmed up really well out on the track by himself. He has some good size to him. I think he should be able to handle the distance at a big price, just maybe one underneath that just kept catching my eye and perhaps could grab a share, maybe behind one of the favorites, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Still, 8-5 favoritism. The 8 Bank Frenzy outside with Arad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, I thought the reason, I don't like Uncle Marty here, but I respect Sean's opinion, but I think the reason to like him, and I think some people like him, is that he actually closed last time on a racetrack that had been very, very kind to speed. It's one of the few races that day that actually a horse made a big run, and I think that's one of the reasons. Now, Landis Cuna ran a better race than he did, battling it out, but he was with the bias. He was the one that was involved in the fast pace. We'll see. He's taken an awful lot of money, and sometimes the money is very sharp. Even at 6-1, to me, he seems like an underlay, but obviously there are a lot of people that disagree with me. We'll see. That's what makes the game more interesting. I still like the 2 in this race. Amadeus Music.
Yeah, big effort last time out. We just saw Jackie Davis load up on that long shot boys code from the inside. Here's the 5. Supreme Being, who we skipped over in that post parade for long shot upset specialist Uriah St. Louis.
You had some big ones. This one could add to it. This horse has some figures to give a chance out of town, but is 1 for 22 lifetime. But honestly, this is the kind of race where I don't think anyone's going to be shocked if somebody goofy kind of wins, because it's a little hard to trust the 2 on the outside taking a lot of money, but the 8 is the horse to beat. Listen, the 7 will handle the distance. I'm not a big fan of that horse.
Yep, in those Zilla Racing Silks, Dylan Davis, second choice on the board on the 7, though. The Bank Frenzy, the 8, the 1 to beat. And there's Uncle Marty with Jose Ortiz, Linda Rice. There's the favorite. We're set for the 7th. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
And they're off. And Jackson Heights was off a step slow. Uncle Marty goes out for the lead. Bank Frenzy now ranges up on the outside to challenge. Here's Waldo and Octoliber. They are heads apart, 3rd and 4th. Then Amadeus Music is racing in 5th. Boys Code is down at the rail, followed on the outside by Supreme Being. And the trailer is Jackson Heights in 8th. Bank Frenzy has stepped away here to lead by almost 4 lengths through a quarter in 23 and 2 over the sloppy going. Uncle Marty is second by a neck. Here's Waldo on the outside in 3rd by a little more than a length, with Amadeus Music towards the rail in 4th. Then comes Octoliber in 5th, another 3.5 lengths to the 3 trailers. Jackson Heights, who's moving up a bit on the outside, Boys Code down at the rail, and Supreme Being. It is Bank Frenzy who leads here by almost 5 lengths. Ran the half mile in 48 seconds. Now the others are getting closer. It's Bank Frenzy, the leader. The lead's down to 2 lengths. Amadeus Music is in 2nd, with Uncle Marty down at the rail in 3rd. Jackson Heights is on the extreme outside. In between horses, here's Waldo, followed by Boys Code and Octoliber. Bank Frenzy once again gets clear by 3.5 lengths. Amadeus Music in 2nd. Uncle Marty and Boys Code heads apart, 3rd and 4th. They're at the top of the stretch, 3 quarters in 1:13. Bank Frenzy trying to take them wire to wire as Uncle Marty ranges up down at the rail. Boys Code is on the outside, and then Amadeus Music. Bank Frenzy with something left here in the stretch. It's Bank Frenzy in front by 4. Boys Code moving into 2nd. Bank Frenzy drifting out, but in front and clear, and the winner here. Bank Frenzy takes it. Boys Code was 2nd, photo for 3rd.
Favorite Bank Frenzy, aggressive ride, early paying off here for Rat Ortiz Jr. and Jackie Davis on a, 25-1 shot, helping that exacta getting 2nd place money.
Yeah, getting a nice ride, picking the pieces for 2nd. And I think Irad finished in the exact same path he started the race in, right? He came out of Post 8. He finished, I think, on the other side of the middle of the racetrack towards the end. And it's not as though he wasn't riding the horse to sort of keep him a little more inside, but this guy was drifting at the end. But, you know, you have to give Irad a lot of credit in this situation. I know he's riding the favorite, but he understood the racetrack, and I think he probably thought, the way I'm going to get beat here is lollygagging around, you know, and just sort of assuming I'm riding the best horse, and I'm going to go right to the front. And it was a fast quarter, 23:59 for these horses at 9 furlongs, even this track. That's pretty quick. But I think Irad just thought, I'm on the best horse. I'm going to ride him like the best horse.
Wow, and you know, we had the benefit, we maybe can show it to you later, out of the gate, 2 got slammed a little bit from Boys Code and Jackie Davis.
Yeah. Now, he is a horse that doesn't get out of the gate, but still, it probably hurt him and certainly may have cost him 2nd this race. The other horse that got left was the 7, Jackson Heights. I know he never made an impact, but he got pretty badly left. He broke about 1.5 lengths, 2 lengths slow.
7-5 favorite, the win. Let's go back to the beginning. Keep your eyes on the 1 and 2. And Boys Code, tough to see from that angle, but comes out over on Amadeus Music and makes life difficult for that one with Manny Franco.
Yeah, you really need to see the head on to see it, but yeah, it affected him. And Manny did a good job getting him in the race, but I don't think he was going to win this race. So the winner was clearly best in here.
First time on a wet track in Bank Frenzy, doing it on the front end.
Isn't it bizarre this horse wasn't favored the double?
It was not.
It was not. It was $23 for $1. Which is an incredible overlay, and it was $21 for $1 with a 7.
Wow.
But he was half the price, 44 versus like 82, or almost half the price with in the pick 3s. Just an anomaly.
Yeah, every once in a while it happens. Bank Frenzy, though, the favorite at 7-5 with the victory. Our feature coming up next. 2-year-olds going 7/8 in the Bertram at Bongard. This one all about your leader, front gate to wire, Bank Frenzy.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stephens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence. Whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. Start earning your $200 sign-up bonus when you sign up with offer code GET200.
Harris Farms, proudly standing Smiling Tiger, a triple Grade 1 winner, defeating Breeders' Cup champions Dancing in Silks and Amazombie, a leading California sire with over $9.7 million in progeny earnings, with 94 winners in 2021 and graded stakes superstars like Spice Perfection.
Spice Perfection wins the Grade 1 La Brea.
And Tiger Dad. Smiling Tiger, a leading California sire, standing at Harris Farms. It pays to be Cal-bred.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races. It's the favorite Bank Frenzy Gate-to-Wire winner, Rat Ortiz Jr. For trainer Lisa Lewis and Phil's Racing Stable, your winning connections.
Nice to see Lisa Lewis get the win. No, I don't see Lisa there. And Jackie with the long shot cut in second. A double exacta that paid almost $93 with the favorite on top.
Yeah, 25 to 1 underneath, and a Central Banker 3-year-old with the win. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
And I'm happy to be joined by winning rider Rat Ortiz's Bank Frenzy. Given the track that we have today, you seem pretty intent to get him on the front end, and the game plan paid off.
Last time he ran a decent race, broke from the inside. That kind of hurt that he logged out a little bit. He had a station blinker last time. And it was a little uncomfortable for him, and he did a great effort. He finished second. Today, I got a perfect pose. I don't want to take no prison. I let him run out of there, and he made the lead. And I know he probably can stay all day, all the race, so I let him do his thing, and he got the job done. He was ready.
Like you said, I mean, he likes to drift a little bit. You saw it in the stretch. You were trying to hold him, and luckily he was in front. But what are some of the steps you have to do with a horse like that you know has the tendency to drift?
I just don't want to fight too much with him. So if somebody goes, maybe I have to take a little hold of him. I don't want to take a hold of at all. I know last time he was after the wire, he was in good gallop after the race, and I talked to the trainer, Lisa, and we both agreed to give him a little more distance. We take off the station blinker because I feel like I don't need it, and work out good. In the end, he's still drifting a little bit, but he think a little bit too, I think a lot, so try to keep him straight and keep him focused every step of the way.
And we see you coming back. No mud on the silks. It is raining out there, but how important is it getting forward position when we have a wet track like we do today?
It's hard to make ground from off the pace, so I guess everybody try to get some position early. You can win being close, but from way back it's a little hard, so we try to get best position that we can if the horse help him and allow me, and go from there. Let him enjoy it, let him relax, and give me a little run on the end. If you have a horse finishing, I think you got a good chance any race today.
You had the horse today. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Rat Ortiz and Bank Frenzy. As we always say, clean faces win races, Greg.
And so do guys that pay a close attention to how tracks are playing. And as good as he is, as desire that he has, he puts in that work too. I went into the jocks room the other day getting some food, and in between races, he's looking at video of the prior race that just happened, studying for the next races coming up constantly.
Right, he's riding a horse that's an overwhelming favorite. And that conversation, if you're really listening to it with Acacia, He's as well prepared as you could possibly be, talking about the blinker the horse had last time, talking about the way the horse runs and what he wanted to do in there. And I think you have to be impressed. I mean, I understand that Irad gets a lot of great mounts, and deservedly so. His agent, Steve Rushing, does an amazing job. He always has with every rider he's had. But Irad puts the work into getting there. Anybody thinks he's just riding good horses and that's the only reason he wins is not paying attention and is also just completely wrong.
We have our feature coming up next. Bertram F. Bongard, 7/8 of a mile for 2-year-olds. It's our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Home of North America's 4-time reigning champion General Sire, Into Mischief, and El Grande O 4-5 favorite. Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz, Irad's mount scratched in here. That would have been the 5 Trust Fund. El Grande O showed that speed last time out. Got caught going 6 furlongs. Kenny Last going 7 furlongs.
They did lose, I think, the favor in that race. I think the Wine Steward was favored and looked pretty good. But that's a reasonable question here. And the thing is, he was 10-1 last time. Now he's a fraction of that price. I picked him because I couldn't make a strong case for anyone else. But he also could take some real pressure from Detective Tom, who broke his maiden on the turf last time. But he has enough pedigree to handle the dirt, especially on the dam side, to suggest he may be able to handle the surface as well. And he has worked fairly well on the dirt.
Yeah, that could be the one who's out in front is Kendrick Carmouche. You know he wants to be forward with that horse. So Bertram F. Bongard to come early on the card, race number 2. We had the Joseph A. Jimma. 2-year-old fillies going 7/8, and a lot of talk about Caldwell Loves Gold, My Main Squeeze, but Kara's Time. Dylan Davis to the front early on in a big upset, the biggest of the day.
I would say that My Main Squeeze didn't seem to handle the track. And it was tough to close the way the favorite did, but give a lot of credit to Mitch Friedman, the connections of this horse, and Dylan Davis as well. This horse clearly was the speed, but Dylan did nothing to get in her way, and she pulled off the upset at a very, very big price. She's the lone sort of huge price on today's card.
Yeah, I believe 22-1. As you see, Caldwell Loves Gold coming late, but not even really threatening for the win. Kara's Time getting to the front and strong through the stretch to pick up the second win in 3 career starts. As you mentioned, trained by Mitch Freeman, Richard Greeley owns. It's daughter of Not This Time. And that, by far, on what's been a pretty formful day, massive upset early on.
No, this horse blew up the early Big 5, and what otherwise was an enormous one big favorite after another.
All right, we're going to get into the Bertram F. Bongard for the boys. Their turn at 7/8 of a mile. Running for $125,000 to come early on. El Grande O, 4-5 favorite in this spot. This one, we know Jose Ortiz wants to be forward, but it's going to be interesting to see if this horse can out-quick that horse that's been on the turf in that first start, Detective Tom.
I agree. The beginning of this race is going to go a long way to telling us what's going to happen at the end.
There's El Grande O. Odds-on favorite currently for the Linda Rice Barn, owned by Barry Schwartz. Our co-feature coming up when we return on our Sunday coverage here on FS2 of America's Day at the Races.
They say breed the best to the best and hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
Is Vekoma the one to catch? Vekoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 quarter.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings right from your phone with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Funny Side off the turn with a 2.5 length lead. Funny Side opening up on the field under a hand ride is in front now by 5. Spite the Devil, Storm Cadet, Infinite Justice, all giving chase. Farther back, Look Out Evan is a distant 5th. But it's all Funny Side, and Jose Santos aboard another winner, and Funny Side won.
Well, we learned in 2002 that this Bertram F. Bongard was a stepping stone to the Kentucky Derby with Funny Side. What a performance. 103 Beyer speed figure in the second start of his career. Won his first 2 starts, including this one, by almost 25 lengths combined.
I am 99% sure he was the first 2-year-old to run a triple-digit Beyer. I think there's a chance he was the only 2-year-old in the country that ran one that year. There might have been one late in the year, like that Hollywood Futurity or something. But, I mean, he showed how good he was, and I think quite a few people took that 92-1. Not that many. Not as many as saying they took it now in the first Derby pool. He didn't run well in the Risen Star, but he certainly ran well in the Wood Memorial, and the rest is history.
And, you know, Derby, Preakness, but that was one of the biggest races he actually ran, that Bertram F. Bongard.
He won his debut by 18 lengths. Yeah. I had a message from
14.5.
14.5?
Yeah.
I had a message from Tony Kobitz, who was a friend of mine, that morning, and just left my machine. He said, that Barkley Tag 2-year-old that's running to that horse can really run.
Yes, he can. Well, El Grandeo, there he is. He's the favorite. He has not run near that fast, but he ran pretty good last time out. It was in defeat. Adding blinkers, 86 Beyer. Trying to go gate to wire. He's 3-5 on the board right now. Let's take a look at that performance in the Funny Side.
Ah, the Funny Side. Yeah, this was, if you bet El Grandeo, turn it off from the 16th pole, because this was a rough beat. You get 10-1 a horse like this, it's a tough beat when you get run down, especially by the favorite. But he ran a winning race, so it's not as though he hadn't really run very well in there. But now at 7, he's got the other speed outside of him potentially. And Greg, 3-5?
That is short.
I mean, and I picked him, but geez, that seems like a massive underlay.
Second time with blinkers today. Gets an extra furlong from that Funny Side. Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
And if you watch that last race with the blinkers on for El Grandeo, while he was on the front end and nearly wired the field, he kind of tripped a little bit coming out of the gate, too. He didn't break that sharply. And sometimes with the first time with blinkers, it almost surprises them a little bit, especially for the young horses. He looks tremendous in here, as he always does. He's a really good-looking 2-year-old, and one that has always carried a lot of good weight and conditioning. Towards the start of his career, he really lacked a bit of focus, and I think the equipment change has helped. I think racing and experience has really helped. He's laser-focused in here, and he looks the part. Hopefully he can get out of the gate smoothly today, and he does have that natural early acceleration, that early foot, which on today's track, as we've been discussing, should suit. But he is a very short price, and he is just 1 for 5 with the lone win coming on the turf. And so we'll see what he does in the conditions today. Second in the mud, 2 starts back up at Saratoga. The number 6, Detective Tom, is taking quite a bit of attention, as his lone win also came on the turf, and that's been his only start to date. He was hustled out to the lead, and he was dueling with the favorite and was able to outgame that foe to get the victory. And while he does have a little bit of a flatter hoof to him, he's not overly turf. He's way more fit and tucked up second time out. He's also sharp. He's bubbling like a coiled spring beneath the surface. He looks like a horse that's quick, and sometimes horses with that kind of flatter hoof really do handle a sealed track well too, that it almost kind of mimics the type of a turf course. And with that early speed, and it'll be interesting to see who gets to the lead, I do think that that could be perhaps something very key for him. And on the bottom side, while I do much prefer Progeny of the Factors sprinting on the turf, on the bottom side, there's plenty of dirt pedigree. The number 2, Agalosa Great, won going 6 furlongs last time out. It was just 10 days ago. I wasn't in the paddock for that race, so I don't have anything to compare it to on the relatively quick turnaround. But even from his debut, I wrote very tall and leggy horse wants more distance. So I love the 7 furlongs for him. Everything from George Weaver's barn has been firing. He is a little bit more tucked up, and it could just be that he's more fit. He's been racing more frequently, but we'll see if he's able to carry a show on the road, Greg, coming back relatively quickly.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Here's Long Shot Ranger Blue to start things off.
Yeah, this one's trying the dirt for the first time, also trying New York Breds for the first time.
coming off that neck win in the second start on dirt. Agalos the Great, George Weaver.
Don't love the horse coming back in just 10 days, but he was very resilient to beat a heavily bet sharp first-timer.
Favorite went by El Grande O.
Yeah, well, he's the horse to beat, but over bet.
So did Skylar Starship's dirt debut was a win.
Thought he was dangerous if he can rate a little bit here. Handle the distance.
Surprisingly, 6-1. Detective Tom, dirt debut.
He's the wild card. I mean, I can understand the idea, and I picked him second trying to get him there, but I don't think 7-2 is that big a bargain on him either.
A little interested in this horse, Bon Chance, who had to shift out to about the 5 path in the stretch.
Yeah, he's the closer in a race pack with speed, but he also got a great trip in a race that was collapsing, and he did not get a particularly fast figure, but maybe he improves, and he's certainly supposed to be able to handle the distance.
Now, this horse here looks like mind on business. El Grande O. They want to go to the front with this one, but Detective Tom with Kendrick Carmouche does as well and may be quicker. We'll find out. 3 minutes away from the Bertram F. Bongard. Let's go to Jonathan.
Look, if you ever watch the show, you know that I'm a huge believer in speed figures. I think it's the most reliable thing that we have in this game as far as horse playing, handicapping has. Now, there's a lot of things you got to work through with that, but the 3 El Grande O has the fastest number. And even the number 2 back is very competitive and right in the mix with all of these. So based off of that, I have no problem with this horse being the favorite. Probably a tad shorter than I would like, but with the 6 Detective Tom, it's a horse that over in Europe they always like to say this horse is unexposed, right? Like, we don't know if this horse likes the dirt or not. But when a Hall of Famer like Steve Asmussen takes a horse that wins first time out on the turf and did it pretty impressively, I thought this horse had shown some grit down on the inside to kind of fight in that race, makes the switch over to the dirt. I'm going to go with the fact that this horse probably can handle it. Has some tactical speed, should be able to find a forward position on a racetrack. I think that's where you want to be. And you're going to get a much better price on the 6 Detective Tom than you will on the 3 El Grande O. I don't love, in comparing them, the 2, the 3, and the 6, the price between 7-2 and 3-5 as it relates to their chances of winning. But I do think Detective Tom will probably get another click up from maybe 4-1 to 9-2. I like Detective Tom in here as an alternative to the likely winner and the favorite, the 3 El Grande O.
Jonathan, I'm with you as far as Detective Tom. He's going to be my pick in here as well. Quickly wanted to touch on the number 4, Skylar Starship, a horse that also started his career on the turf, but won on the main track last time out. And he does boast a win at 7 furlongs, which could be a question for a couple of the others in here, stretching out an extra 1/8 of the mile just for the first time. Now, he's a horse that sat a good trip, and he was able to beat and wear down Mischief Joke, who was the heavy favorite in there. That horse came back to win with a 69 Beyer speed figure in his subsequent start. I wish overall Skylar Starship had strengthened up a bit more. He's a horse that doesn't carry a ton of flesh and condition on him, but I do like the fact that he boasts a win at the 7 furlong distance. Everybody seemed to warm up well on the track. To me, though, Greg, the 3 and the 6, your favorites were the ones that did stand out in the warm-ups as well as back in the paddock.
Well, thank you, Acacia. And those are the 2 that figured to be battling up front. And, you know, we've talked about how this has been so speed favoring all day today. And maybe one of those 2 is quicker. Maybe it's the 6 Detective Tom. But if they do battle up front, maybe it does set it up for someone from off the pace.
No, I mean, these are the questions of the race. I agree with you. And the 3 rowing inside the 6 could make his life a little bit difficult. Is he going to let the 6 go? Could he do that and get outside of him? Does he want to do that? What is Jose? I think, you know, you think about the last race with Irad, riding the favorite like the best horse. I think you're supposed to go if you're Jose, but if Kendrick is sort of hell-bent on getting the lead, then you let him go. But I don't think you just seed it from the start. You're riding a 3-5 shot. Even if he's a little over bet, he is the overwhelmingly likeliest winner of the race.
And surprisingly, fairly big number, especially on this horse, the 4 Skylar Starship.
I use 3, 4, 6 in my pick 4. And I'll tell you something. I'm not confident, even though I have the first, second, and probably third or fourth choice, because I feel like this race, I won't be shocked by anything.
Bertram F. Bongard, our co-feature. Let's go upstairs to John Imbrial.
And they're off. Detective Tom is out for the lead. El Grande O now moves right alongside. It's El Grande O and Detective Tom. El Grande O takes the lead. Detective Tom is racing in second, 2.5 lengths. Back to Agalos the Great, who's in third. Down at the rail is Ranger Blue, Skylar Starship in between horses, and Bon Chance on the outside. El Grande O is the leader here by 3/4 of a length, with Detective Tom in pursuit in second through a quarter in 22 and 3/5 seconds over the sloppy track. El Grandeo is the leader. Detective Tom in second now by 3.5 lengths. Then Agalos the Great and Bonchance. Farther back it is Ranger Blue and Skylar's Starship. El Grandeo clear now by 1.5 lengths over Detective Tom. The half in 46 seconds. El Grandeo now by 3 lengths. Detective Tom couldn't keep up with El Grandeo as Agalos the Great now comes on through to take second. El Grandeo with the lead as they head for home. It's El Grandeo with a 4-length lead. Agalos the Great runs in second. Farther back, Detective Tom and Bonchance. It is El Grandeo in a big effort here over the sloppy track at the Big A. El Grandeo romps home here by 7 lengths in the Bertram F. Bongard Stakes.
El Grandeo, he was quicker than Detective Tom, and he was too quick for anybody to make up ground on him here.
Riding the best horse like you're the best horse, right? He didn't break badly. He didn't break super sharp. Actually, the 6 broke a little sharper. But Jose said, I'm just going to go. And they were moving a bit up front. And obviously, Major Detective Tom, not necessarily a dirt horse, and also a tough situation when you're chasing a horse that's this good. Listen, his last race pointed out the question was whether or not you felt 3 to 5 was too short a price that he would run back to it. I picked him, but I used 3 in here, so it's not like I did anything smart.
Moving pretty good here in this spot, and at this point it was well over 2-year-old by Take Charge Indy. Appreciating the wet going here. Jose Ortiz, Linda Rice, Barry Schwartz. With the winner of the Bertram F. Bongard here, El Grandeo, and 2 wins now and 2 fairly narrow defeats, certainly last time out, but in 2 stakes races.
And you know, he's going to Take Charge Indy, and the way he ran there, why is he supposed to not have a problem with a mile? I mean, obviously, we hope that it's a dry track next time he runs. And you and I were sort of talking, watching the race. You never want to get overly excited by good performances on wet tracks because they can be deceptive. But I think when you couple this race with his effort last time, it's not as though he doesn't have a good dry track race to back it up. Yeah. We've got a pretty good-looking 2-year-old here. If you want to say he's a good-looking New York bred, I'm going to say he's a pretty darn good-looking 2-year-old in general.
123-4 for the 7/8. Scooting on the front end. El Grandeo, now 2 wins the last 4 starts with those 2 defeats. Again, runner-up finishes in a couple of stakes races, including the funny side this summer at Saratoga. Odds-on favorite, 3 to 5. Here with El Grandeo, and there's Linda Rice, coming off that 5th consecutive training title that she co-won at Saratoga with Chad Brown, and keeping things rolling here at Belmont at the Big A. El Grandeo, your winner. We'll be back.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. Now his first foals have arrived. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Any success that we've enjoyed is directly attributable to the men and women who first bring horses to us to sell. It's not a chicken and the egg situation in the thoroughbred industry or in the auction industry. You got to have good product. If we're able to attract quality horses to our sale with quality men and women selling them, we're going to have good sales.
We provide a platform for the auction of thoroughbred horses. Our mission is to do that with the highest level of integrity and service. We are the oldest thoroughbred auction company in North America. The stops at Fasig-Tipton are circled on a calendar and are not to be missed. The product that our customers are able to provide is sought after throughout the world.
Well, I believe the future of Fasig-Tipton is extremely bright. Everything that we do is going to be to achieve success tomorrow by doing things right today. It's a commitment to get up and do the right thing every day in a consistent and a professional fashion, and that's a great recipe for success long term.
Curlin was the leading sire of Grade 1 winners in 2021 with 5 and 2022 with 6. In 2023, Curlin is the leading sire of Grade 1 winners with 5.
Big race. Nest Clarier is too far back. A 16th to run, and Idiomatic has a 2-length lead. Nest is fully extended.
This is what winning looks like.
A huge performance all the way.
Curling, the classic sire.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races. Bertram F. Bongard in the books. Program brought to you by Nyra Bets, where you can play it all. Go to NyraBets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. El Grande O, now 2 wins in the last 4 outings. Looked very good doing it today on the sloppy going.
No, I agree. You know, I think about Linda Rice having Arctic Arrogance last year, who did so well in the New York Bred races and then did well in our Open Company races. And it looks like in this case, this one's for Barry Schwartz. They've got a pretty good one, and she's going to be thinking, I'm sure, about the Sleepy Hollow. But then you start thinking about if he keeps running like this, taking on the Open Company, and why not? This horse can run.
El Grande O looking impressive in our Spendthrift Farm 2-year-old race of the day. Odds-on win. Quite a ways back to Aglos the Great, Bon Chance, and Skylar Starship. But yeah, this horse maybe with some big ability. Be interesting to see Linda Rice with a talented 2-year-old.
Did you go Bon Chance just so thought Acacia would be excited about your French? I don't know if there's no accent at the end.
Well, sure? I'd heard a previous race caller had
really. Should we go to our expert on French?
This is all about El Grande O. At least I got that right, correct?
I guess.
How many trophies does Linda Rice have now?
Yeah,
does she have room for him?
She's having a great career. She's on a great run. You think of all the titles that she's been winning here, including tying Chad Brown, Saratoga, and she works extremely hard. And that's not to say that a lot of people and most people at the racetrack work extremely hard, but she's creative, she's innovative, and as I said before, when they start changing rules because of things you're doing, then you know you're doing something right, because she claimed a lot of horses in Kentucky, and they changed the rule this fall. It's not a coincidence.
Let's head downstairs to Acacia.
As I will be joined by Linda Rice, actually on the phone. That's what happens when you win. You get a lot of phone calls. Linda, congratulations with El Grande O, a horse that his own win actually came on the turf. But he seems to handle pretty much any surface.
Yeah, he's pretty versatile. I mean, even his first start was decent. He ran greenly, but his mother ran on the grass. A sibling, Meal Ticket, ran on the grass, so I tried the grass in the summer, but we pointed towards a turf stake. It came off. He ran great in the dirt, and of course, back again in the 2 New York Bred Stakes.
Jose Ortiz was aggressive with him to get the lead early, and while he has that early speed, he didn't break as quick out of the gate last time, but it seems like mentally he's really come along.
Yeah, I think that, you know, seasoning with a 2-year-old, he's got more experience than the rest of the field, and that certainly helps. So.
You added the blinkers last time. Can you talk a little bit about that decision and how you think it's helped him?
Jose had told me when he ran on the dirt in the off-the-turf race that he was a little afraid of the horses on the inside of him, and he felt that he needed a little bit of a blinker. So now his last 2 starts been with blinkers, and he's responded well.
And now picking up a nice stakes, and congratulations to the whole team.
Thank you, Acacia.
And we see Linda and Jose winning a lot of races together, and that input from rider to trainer paying off as El Grande O now a stakes winner, Greg.
Yeah, they had a pretty successful Saratoga summer as well, that duo. As we take a look at this Pick 6 carryover, follow along to this point, 305,000 in the pool. Biggest number to this point, really the only upset has been Willful Desire.
Yeah, I mean, it's a parlay right now that's under $200 for $2, about $50. So believe it or not, the Pick 6s are actually playing pretty well. Exactly, $100 for $1. It's a $1 bet. They're actually paying just fine when you consider how chalky it's been.
This will close it out. Rest that was meant for the grass comes off main track, 6 furlongs. Allowance optional claiming field. And there will be plenty of support for My Harbor's Dream, but Legends Can't Die, taking a lot of money right now as the favorite for George Weaver.
Yeah, I like Legends Can't Die. I wouldn't bet him at 2-1, though I believe he has a B+ workout from the DRF workout reports, which I have to think is playing a role in this. He also has a Dirt Race 3 back that probably wins this, but, you know, Greg, this race is off the turf. But the 11 through 14, all MTOs, they're not slouches. Those horses are all capable of winning this race.
Including, yeah, HP Moon for the trainer who just won the co-feature, Linda Rice. She'll have Jose Ortiz aboard, horse who has some big ability. My Harbor's Dream, though, the 12, a major player in this spot as well. Irad Ortiz Jr. may have a say in this also with Spun and One on the outside. We'll be back with more on the nightcap when we return. Cody's Wish Gave that classic division a try in the Whitney. Did not pan out. Back to doing what he does best. And he's back at the Big A. We'll tell you what he's gearing up for when we return.
Life is good. Really, really, really good.
Life is good. Opens up here.
He's a rocket ship.
Life is good. Clears the field. Still in command.
Galloping without any urgency.
Back in the winner's circle.
No challenge from anyone.
It ran them off their feet. Life is good is looking good. And this colt is incredible.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
Peek out the window. Go ahead. We do it all the time before heading outside. We want to know, is it hot, cold, raining, snowing? Horses, they're a lot like people. The weather affects them. When you're looking for winners, there are so many different ways that you could factor in weather conditions into which horse you pick. But let's start out with the most basic. In the top right corner of any race, there's a section described as wet. That lists the results for each individual horse over a wet track, like a muddy track, a sloppy track, or just a good track. The number on the far left represents how many times they've run over a wet track, and the next three numbers represent how many times they finished first, second, and third in those types of races. You can also find horses for courses by looking at how they've done over this racetrack in previous races.
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Nightcap still to come. We'll get more into race 9 in a moment. We're approaching the 10-minute mark to post. We've been having a lot of success lately. I had a winner in my Game of Silk stable earlier in the week, and now you have a horse youngster who's 2 for 2.
Uphill Dance. We're excited. The money, the earnings go to charity, 1% of their earnings. So Uphill Dance has now made over $50,000, so $500 to, I'm not, I think it was BCCA. It might be the chaplaincy. I'm not, chaplaincy. Okay. One of the many worthy causes here, the New York Racing Association, but getting the job done. Not familiar with the trainer, Rachel Halden, but excited about Uphill Dance running at Woodbine. And where'd your horse win?
Yeah, won at Woodbine from Marcassi.
You won at Woodbine?
Yeah.
Wow.
On the turf, Magic Slips, a good Magic.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that the first start?
second start.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, sorry, a third start for Magic Slips.
All right. So doing some good
yeah,
for the
so
for
quite a few of us. Maggie's had a winner. I believe Miggs had a winner.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No,
so
it's nice to see, and it's fun. It's listen. I think there's a lot to be said about the game. I understand, people trading the horses and stuff, but there's real cash rewards. It's, okay, I understand you're not participating as much, but it feels like you're participating if they do well. And I think Game of Silks is kind of a very interesting game, and we appreciate being involved.
All right, so well done. And again,
I feel like I had a lot to do with it.
Going to a good cause is the important thing.
Agreed.
So we'll continue to follow these horses along as they get more starts. But keep in mind, too, these are all 2-year-olds for us. So going to be fun if they continue on in their careers. A lot still to come at this meet. Take a look at the stakes schedule ahead. Noble Damsel, Ashley T. Cole on Friday. Saturday, Grade 1 Joe Hurst Turf Classic. The Woodward, Fosberg, Gallant Bloom. And then Sunday, a couple of Grade 2s as well. So some big ones over the weekend. And a big name lining up. We'll get to see here at Belmont at the Big A. Still, look, they took a shot in that Classic division. Didn't work out. Getting back to 7/8 and a mile. Still believe it is probably the best dirt horse in training.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't want to hold his last race against him. He's done so well in these other races that suggest that he fell off form. I mean, obviously, when a horse underperforms, you want to see how they come back from it. But I just feel it was more a case of not being suited to a slower pace, 2-turn race. A horse that takes advantage of the faster paces. It is right now a small field. We'll see how the field comes together. But he's a very good horse.
Part of that, maybe nobody wanting to face him because he's so devastating at this distance as well. He is a superstar and getting back to what he does best. And keep in mind, the last time he was in the ballpark of this distance, that Med-Mile performance was just sensational. Nightcap to come, 6 furlongs, move to the main track, this allowance optional claiming field. And here's a look at one of the main track onlys. That's for Linda Rice. She'll have Jose Ortiz on HP Moon. Certainly a disappointing performance when seen at Saratoga last time out, and has been a vet scratch a couple of times since then.
Yeah, I agree. Some reasons to be concerned, especially that last effort. He did run well enough at 7, and it felt like it was a little far for him 2 back because he did make the lead, so maybe 6 will be better for this horse.
Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
And this is actually my first time laying eyes on HP Moon. I wasn't in the paddock for either of his 2 recent races. And as you mentioned, Greg has been a vet scratch a couple of times. So I'm going to be really watching him carefully on track in the warm-up and seeing how he's moving, because I do wish that he was moving a little bit freer here in the paddock at the walk. But sometimes it is a little bit tough to tell. He is a lighter framed type, especially behind. Usually with my sprinters, I like to see them a little bit more built up in their hind end and across their top line, and he's not one that seems to carry a lot of substance and condition. And last time out was not quick from the rail, but moved up to set the pace and then just had absolutely nothing left. Did run well on a wet track 2 starts back, and sometimes the lighter bone type of individuals handle a wet track well, not to mention if he's forwardly placed yet again, as we've been discussing on this track, that could very well be a benefit. I'm still going to reserve judgment for him until I see the warm-up, but I can understand some reasons why he could be taking attention in here. The number 1, Legends Can't Die, makes his first start since March, and he faced some super tough company that day on the main track, including eventual Whitney winner White Abario. Weyburn and Collaborate both came out of that race to win and are decent horses in their own right. And this is a guy who had started off on the turf and again has that kind of flatter type of hoof to him. He has been working very sharply in the mornings, both on turf and on dirt, and I wonder if even at this race coming off the turf, if it's almost just a starting point to get him back and to get him going. He looks super fit. He's a horse that I've actually always preferred going a touch longer on the turf, because I think he kind of gets into the race a little bit more too, and I do wonder about sprinting. He's very quiet here in the paddock. From my notes of him last year, he was a horse that was always very energetic pre-race, and he actually settled down even more once they got the tack on him. I'll watch him out on the track as well, but I think he looks incredibly ready from a fitness perspective as far as how he's tucked up. Is this just maybe a starting point to get get him back on the turf? We'll soon find out. The 14 all the way to the outside, spun and won, coming off of a second place finish in the Rumson last time out at Monmouth. He's typically more forwardly placed than he was last time. He was very far back last early, closing wide, and took a little bit of time to switch his leads. I haven't seen him since January, actually, of 2022, so it's been quite some time. But just as I remember him, he's a horse that carries a lot of substance and condition, quite the opposite physicality from HB Moon. He's also a horse that wears a Houghton bit, one that gives the rider a little bit more control for horses that maybe are a little bit tricky to steer. And given how awkward he was switching his leads last time, I gather that he might be a horse that's that. Hopefully he's able to get out of the gate quicker than he did last time and get himself into some forward position. Greg?
Acacia, thank you. So 3-1 on the outside runner, spun and won. Irad Ortiz Jr. will have the mount here on one who sounds like he's a little tricky to ride. Gets a leg up.
Surprisingly big price. He's got to come down from there. He seems like.
Oh, I was talking about the 14.
Oh, the 14. Isn't he supposed to be shorter here? Wouldn't you think he'd end up being favored here? I didn't look at the doubles, but I
don't know. I thought 3-1 was fair.
I think it's very fair. I'm just surprised he's not shorter.
Okay.
He is favored in doubles, yes.
Legends can't die with that big work. George Weaver, Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, I'm hoping Acacia's wrong, and it's not a race to get him ready for the turf. His first race in the dirt would make him tough in here. His next two races would make him last in here. We'll see how he runs today.
Lucky Curlin went by. He's only started on an off track. He won, but it was a slowish figure relative to this group. Here's the 12, My Harbor's Dream.
Ran very fast out of town for David Jacobson. He runs back to that number. He'll be tough.
4-1 on him. Here's the Emerald Forest, Jose Gomez.
I thought of the MTOs. He was the least likely winner, but he's not without some credentials.
And Irad Ortiz Jr. Spun and won on the outside.
His recent form in the dirt is very good coming out of town. He's run well here in the past. So it's not as though he has to prove that he can run as good race in New York as one race in New York is one of the better figures he ever ran. So I just think he's a very logical horse outside with Irad. And I think by post time he'll be favored. But I don't think anyone's going to be an overwhelming favorite here.
No, not likely. It's the 11, the 12, the 14, the 1, all in the mix in this spot. 3 minutes away from our nightcap coming up. Get signed up. Play it with Nauer Bets. Go to NauerBets.com. Take advantage of all those offers. Match 200. That code to use for new members at sign up. Closing out with his 6-furlong sprint here on this sloppy racetrack on our Sunday coverage. Jonathan, how are you going to play it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there's a couple of horses in here that are pretty interesting. The 14 spun and won towards the outside. I think if you think about what happened in this horse's last race, it kind of gives you a little bit of a better view of what to expect here. The horse broke slow that day, came running, and did it pretty impressively going 5 furlongs, a flat 5 furlongs. Look, if you don't make the lead going flat 5 on the dirt, you're in trouble. This horse not only didn't make the lead, spotted the field a little bit from that early start. Now, this has only happened a couple times throughout the career of the 14 spun and won, breaking a little bit slow, so I'm hoping it's not necessarily a habit. But, look, spun and won needs to break well here, and I think if spun and won does, will be very, very tough to beat. And then I wanted to mention a little bit the one, Legends Can't Die. If you look at the race 3 back, if this horse duplicates that race, we'll win this race by 4 or 5 lengths. I just don't see that race being very trustworthy. It looks like a little bit of an outlier, a couple races on the dirt after that. Some excuses in those races, but I think at a price very similar to the 14, the 1 at 3-1 and the 14 at 5-2. I just prefer the 14. And I know Acacia is also interested in the 14, but she's going to start talking about the 12, My Harbor's Dream, who to me was kind of the other of the top 2 choices.
Yeah, he's interesting, Jonathan, because he ran a very quick race last time out, talking about My Harbor's Dream, a horse that was up close, pressing the pace setter, and those are kind of the running styles that I was looking for in today's card, and he's one that has that early kind of tactical speed, and he's also a lighter frame type. Looks like he should handle a wet track well. He's dappled out from head to toe, and as we've often talked about with David Jacobson's barn, it looks like when the barn is going well, it's when you have to pay attention and when the horses keep running well, and they and get kind of in a groove, and the barn goes on a streak. And this is a horse that's been in good form, and we'll see if he can carry that over here. When he was last on the NYRA circuit, his 2 starts in Saratoga were not his best starts, and so that concerns me, the fact that they've had to take him out to Monmouth and Delaware to get those big wins, and wondering if that stacks up. And quickly, the 11 HP Moon, I mentioned wanting to watch his warm-up. He had a very quiet, reserved warm-up with the pony, so I couldn't see too much as far as how he was moving. But usually when Jose Ortiz does that, it's to keep a horse quiet and settled when he has that natural early speed, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. About to load up here. And the favorite has become this 14, Irad Ortiz Jr.'s mount. Surprise, surprise. It looks sensational, I thought, warming up. From the outside post, spun and won, coming off that second in a stake, going 5 furlongs at Monmouth.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very, very dangerous horse in this race. He draws well on the outside. Listen, I don't think there's a lot separating them. I was hoping to get a better price than 5-2 on the 1. The workout probably is one of the reasons the horse is a lower price. So I took him, but at 5-2, I don't think he's any bargain whatsoever.
Johnny Brial, the call the nightcap from Belmont at the Big A.
We're all set for race 9. And they're off. Legends Can't Die, the gray from the rail. My Harbor's Dream is right there, along with HP Moon, spun and won on the extreme outside. Then comes Emerald Forest at a break of 3, back to Lucky Curlin, who trails in 6th. Legends Can't Die by a half length. My Harbor's Dream is in 2nd by a length and a half. Spun and won in 3rd right now, about 3 lengths from the lead. Then comes HP Moon and Emerald Forest with Lucky Curlin the trailer. The opening quarter mile in 22-2. Legends Can't Die leads here by a head. My Harbor's Dream on the outside now moves right alongside. They've got 2.5 lengths on Spun and Won in 3rd as HP Moon drops out of it, passed there by Emerald Forest. Top of the stretch, the half and 45-1. Legends Can't Die. In between horses in the white blinkers, My Harbor's Dream, and on the outside is Spun and Won, who's coming on now. Spun and Won, Legends Can't Die, Legends Can't Die, Spun and Won, and the 2 of them will battle it out to the finish. Legends Can't Die, Spun and Won. It is a photo finish in the finale. Very tight. Spun and Won or Legends Can't Die.
Might have been Irad Ortiz Jr. on Spun and Won. Legends Can't Die right there as well. We'll take another look.
Well, clearly Legend Can't Die ran too well to lose this race. It does feel like he just got ground down at the end, and the 14 who got the absolutely perfect trip under Irad gets it done. You can't, listen, Junior Alvarado rode the 1 as well as you can ride a horse, but when you had the 12 breathing down his neck the whole way and the 14 sitting in the catbird seat, sometimes the best horse doesn't get it done, but it was a nice race to close things out. Irad in the perfect spot, as he often is.
On a day where being forward has been just about everything, Irad Ortiz Jr. able to sit off stock, and looks like he does get this nose down at the right time.
That's exactly a matter of himself.
9-5 if it's Spun and Won the 14 with Irad. 7-2 on Legends Can't Die. Ran very good. It looks like, though, in defeat.
Yeah, looks like it was 14-12, and I don't even know who was the 14-1, I'm sorry, who was down 3rd on the inside of him. Can you tell?
Junior Alvarado aggressive early on this gray for George Weaver.
Did all the running here, and listen, it's a tough game sometimes. If you bet the 1 like I did, wasn't a great beat, but he ran great. Junior, I love the aggressive riding from Junior, and I like seeing him ride aggressively. It's good to see him in the game, but Irad, that outside post, everything working out just perfectly for him. And just able to get up 14-1-12-11.
Yep, 14-1-12-11, as Andy said. 3-win day for Irad Ortiz Jr. 110-1, final time. Very close, and yeah, Junior Alvarado did everything right.
Yep.
Just did not work out in the end.
It's the way it goes sometimes in the game, but Irad in a good spot with a good horse.
So that's going to close things out. Very formful pick 6 carryover, with really the exception of that 1 race.
But that was not the pick 6. Oh, yeah, that horse. That's all you needed, probably.
Yeah. What did you think of standout performance today, El Grandeo?
How could you not be impressed by that horse? That's a very, very promising horse. But wet tracks, you want to see him do it again in dry track. But it was a dry track last time, and he ran a big race.
It's going to wrap up our coverage. We are back next Thursday. That's our next show. We'll see you on FS2. Check your local listings, though. 1 Eastern start time. I believe we're on 1 to 6 on next Thursday. So we will see you then. Spun in one, tight one, closing things out in our finale. 3-win day for Arad Ortiz Jr. How about our 2 co-features in the Joseph A. Jimma? Kara's Time, 22-1, one of the few long shot winners on this wet racetrack. Dylan Davis being aggressive, going to the front. And in the Bertram F. Bongard, we just talked about it. Grande O, Linda Rice, Jose Ortiz just missed, adding blinkers last time out. This time gets to the front, seals the deal with an impressive performance. We'll see you on Thursday.
The momentum continues for War Dancer as War Smoke delivers at Finger Lakes.
War Smoke in front, another one for Andre Worry.
Barrage runs down the field at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
And Born Dancer goes wire to wire, outlasting all comers.
It's going to get close. Be Of Courage coming inside Born Dancer.